Hey, here we go. I think I got my audio turned down on the live stream this time. Let's see if that works.
Nope.
Awesome, thank you. Morning. You made it through the weekend, and here we are to face another week. No Mondays off this week, gentlemen. You're going to be able to be back on track now, schedule-wise. Bill, I know it threw you all off last week. It threw me off as well, not working on Monday with President's Day.
Yeah. I mean, as we were just talking off air, it was a busy weekend for the Gunner family. Me and the two minions made a trip up to Raleigh to see the sister and celebrate my dad's birthday. That'll probably throw me off a tad bit more. Turns out, as I was just telling you off air, 38 years old, sleeping on a blow-up mattress is not good. Like, I think that what age is the blow-up mattress just go out the window for adults? Is it when you, Patrick, you slept on a blow-up mattress anytime in the last 6 months? You had to go home. Do you still have access to your room, or has that been turned into a sauna for the parents?
No, it's been turned into just the guest room. So I sleep on a bed when I go home, but I can't remember the last time I slept on a blow-up mattress. It's not an issue, though. I mean, my bed stinks. I've been wanting a new bed for years, and I can sleep in a chair or a couch or anything, and I'm fine. I'm sore every day anyway. It doesn't really matter.
Oldest 25-year-old in the history of the world. My parents are in their 70s. They sleep on a blow-up mattress occasionally when they come to visit. No problems. I don't think it's an age thing, Bill.
The other thing is,
You're spoiled.
The other thing is, I did a workout. I did a workout on Thursday, and it was one of those. It's kind of those core workouts where I was in a push-up position with two 25-pound weights, and you kind of do rows. And it was. So I'm a little sore. I was a little sore, but yeah, that'll throw me off more than taking a Monday off. I'll be up and good and ready to roll. We had a fun weekend. Watched with my brother-in-law, with my dad, Austin, and my 20-month-old nephew and daughter and sister as well. So had a really good time. But yeah, that'll throw me off a little bit more. If you hear me getting a little cranky, it's because my body's still adjusting. But I'll be all right. A couple nights in sleep in bed, I'll be back to normal.
Everybody's pulling for you today, Bill. Everybody's pulling for you.
Thank you. I'm fighting right now. It is definitely we're playing a little outmanned or a little down here this morning.
We are up and rolling on the live video stream, sponsored by Buford Lending, YouTube Live, Facebook Live on, what do we call that, Periscope or Twitter these days? Is it the same thing? I don't know. But that's on the station handle on Twitter, at 1075 The Game. We see KT and Travis up early, already weighing in. Travis wanted to know what sleep number is the blow-up mattress.
I don't know. One night, I think it went down during the middle of the night.
You got the zero. It started.
It was going down. It was
zero. Yeah. Those nights happen on the old blow-up mattress for sure. But we got a lot to get to, including, I think, probably most thankfully for Gamecock fans, Gamecock baseball is here. The weather did not keep it from starting on opening weekend, and it started with a bang, and it was Wes Clark with 3 home runs in the first 2 games, and then yesterday, much closer against Dayton, but Carolina ends up pulling away late, 5-1 yesterday's final. It's a weekend sweep for Gamecock baseball, exactly, I think, what Carolina fans were looking for in a whole lot of ways, and we'll let you hear from George Khalil, the Australian native. I think I just like getting Australian accents in on the show, but he actually had the game-winning hit yesterday with an opposite field double late in the ball game that led to that big 4-run inning to break a 1-1 tie. Also, we'll hear from Carolina coach Mark Kingston some of what he had to say. On the basketball court, USC women bounced back in a big way yesterday against Kentucky after the disappointing midweek loss to Tennessee last week. So we'll hear one comment from Don Staley about social media coaches that I thought was pretty interesting in multiple ways. And Frank Martin with some interesting comments as well after yet another disappointing performance for Gamecock men's basketball. Missouri had no problem with the Gamecocks on Saturday. Bill, what was that look you just gave us?
Better than I was sitting there. I was typing an email quickly. Doing 2 things at once.
Wow.
We did watch basketball, did watch South Carolina and Missouri. My brother-in-law is a big Miami Hurricane fan. They had a huge series against #1 Florida this weekend, so we actually watched some of that as well. And then lots of golf. Did you see the weather? Though I shouldn't say what, but the wind on Saturday at Riviera. kind of crazy there. Couldn't keep just the ball on the green. I think it was Bradley Keegan who hit the one putt from about 40 yards back, and it just rolled about 15, 20 yards off the green.
Yeah, nuts. I know Dustin Johnson, that's when he got to the top of the leaderboard, and then yesterday struggled a little bit in the final round of the Genesis, and it was dramatic down the stretch, and poor Tony Finau. Did you see that? Poor Tony Finau. Another putt to win it. Couldn't make it happen. He got the gift from Max Homa, who misses a 3-footer on the 72nd hole to go to sudden death. Finau gets a putt to win it in the first sudden death hole, misses, and then Homa wins it. Just disappointing. Finau, he's got so many top fives. I forget what the number is. It's something ridiculous without a win here in the last 5 years, I think it is. But the PGA Tour was fun to watch for sure over the weekend. Gamecock baseball, I wanted to put my little gas baggy hot take out there. It was Dayton, the opponent. Carolina is supposed to win a bunch of games before you start SEC play when you're talking about Gamecock baseball. But just like we've talked about, unfortunately, through the last couple of seasons, it seems like Gamecock football, Carolina basketball, we're talking about over the weekend on the men's side. Sometimes it's not if you lose, but kind of how you lose. Also, it's when you win, it's how you win. And Carolina was as impressive, I think, as almost anybody. I know the SEC teams involved in that tournament out in Texas, I believe it was, against some Big 12 teams out there were really impressive. But as far as taking on a lesser type program and rolling through a weekend, Bill, you talked about the Miami-Florida series. Florida comes in, preseason top 3 or something and drops 2 out of 3 to Miami. The Gamecocks come in 17-18 in the country and just absolutely handle Dayton and show off everything. They show off the pitching, both starting and relief. They show off the power bats for sure, and they show that they can come through in a close game down the stretch on yesterday's game 3, where you could, I think lesser teams could ease up a little bit and drop a game, and would not be a good sign. So I was impressed kind of across the board. It wasn't perfect, don't get me wrong, kicked it around a little bit. There were some walks, there were some issues, but I thought maybe as exactly what you want to see, I think, from a Gamecock perspective. Patrick, I know you were in the studio and you're listening to a lot of it over the weekend. Let's get your thoughts first about Gamecock baseball from the weekend.
I mean, my thoughts were the same thing. It was actually to be expected on Sunday after you scored 24 runs in 2 days that it was going to go down to the last inning with 1 run on the board. I mean, Brad Miller and I were talking about that while he was doing the women's basketball game. Of course, you're just going to light him up for 2 days and then take it the distance on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, it was awesome. Wes Clark, I think my takeaway was he's just ridiculously good. His home runs get out of the park in literally the blink of an eye. I mean, he's at the plate, swings on the first pitch, and it's gone a second later. Julian Bosnick, I didn't know anything about, but he was pretty awesome to start out on Sunday, hitting the first batter and then going 8 in a row on strikeouts and breaking the school record. That was pretty awesome, but a shame it kind of got away from him there, and he could only go 3 1/3. But yeah, it's a bad team. It seemed like a bad team. I don't know anything about Dayton, to be honest, but you lit him up like you should have, and it was a good weekend.
Julia Bosnick setting the school record with 8 straight strikeouts. Incredible. Mark Hastings saying that he had a blister pop up is why he ended up only going 3 1/3 yesterday. But starting pitching was really good. The bullpen was really good all 3 days, but something that's a good sign for the Gamecocks for sure. And then the hitting, both power-wise and then clutch-wise yesterday. I agree with you, Patrick. Impressive and well-rounded. KT from Lexington, the first one in on the live video stream, first one in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line this morning as well, says, I had a great weekend of baseball. Carolina has a few things to fix, but looks like they can be really good this year. Pitching looked above average. Hitting looked really elite Friday and Saturday. Also enjoyed watching Florida and Georgia struggle. Ron from Lake Marion. Great weekend for Gamecock baseball. I learned how to watch the games on my phone.
Oh, boy.
Attaboy, Ron from Lake Marion. And it was a one-camera deal that was a slow start on Friday that they got up and rolling on the SEC network, and we'll be going back to a more traditional broadcast here soon. I think there's one more like this coming up on Tuesday, and then after that, they'll be back to the traditional televised SEC Network Plus broadcast. Billy says, finally, something for the Gamecock fans to cheer about. It's wonderful to have baseball. Here's wonderful getting to sleep. All is happy in Gamecock land. Thank you. Baseball Billy. Oh, now it's Baseball Billy. Okay, Baseball Billy. And Jason says Tommy Moody was in heaven being able to call baseball. LOL. No doubt about it. You can hear it in Tommy's voice. Once baseball season starts back, he is good to go for sure. 803-404-6100, the number into the program. Let you hear what Mark Kingston had to say about the big baseball weekend when we come back. Also get into Gamecock basketball for sure, and who knows where else we'll go on a Monday morning. Glad you're up with us, starting your week off right. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. All right, Jen's on the live stream.
All right, we're on regular schedule.
Any better? Let her do the traffic here, then we'll get the schedule update.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wake everybody up here.
She hasn't said we're combining breaks or anything. Patrick, my audio sound any better?
I still hear the background thing.
Gotcha.
I don't know what it is.
Alright, young gunners, let's get out and experience a great day.
You're muted.
Yep, take out the Bill background noise of him waking up the kids. It sounded like it automatically cranked up his mic to try to hear him.
Yep. Is that what that was?
I think so. Still working out the kinks here. Appreciate the patience. Jen, we still doing normal break structure here in hour number one?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. I think we'll do 10 and 40 this hour.
Okay.
Do production and that. Yeah, we'll do 10 and 40. For all of the audio, do you want that in the chat, or do you have that from your email, which would be easier?
I'm good. As long as it's still just numbered how mine is, unless you edit anything, I'm good.
Okay, perfect.
Would like to just come back with number 7, please. Nice job getting all that done.
Seven is what I'm working on right now. I've got 1 through 6.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. Okay, we can do number 6 then coming back.
I may still be able to get it. I'm trying to find him right now.
Cool. Morning, Chris. Morning, Carlton, KT, and Travis. Travis, that basketball stat's pretty crazy. See what he said? Missouri's Drew Smith had 7 assists, I'm guessing, and the Gamecocks had 8. Is that what he's saying? Let me pop up that box. I mean, that's not good even if you do have prolific scores, if you ask me.
That's almost impressive to only have 8 assists and score 78 points.
Right. Well, until you look and give up 93.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They still score.
Yeah.
Yep. 8 total team assists. Drew Smith with 7.
Did we get? I see Jen just text me the Crowder at 6:40. I apologize. I walked away. We 2 breaks this hour. We on traditional schedule.
I think she's saying we're just going 2 breaks.
Okay. So, yep. Everybody's up. I got them up.
This hour.
We were in bed pretty early last night. I did watch that last night, the Tahoe game, because I didn't get a chance to watch any on Saturday night. That was just a really cool setting.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Huh?
Now, Now, why would Travis just ask Patrick if he saw the kid heckling Cam Newton at his own camp?
Kid's a brat.
I meant to watch it. I saw it on my timeline. I saw people talking about it. Did you see it, Patrick? Did you hear the audio?
Yeah, I heard it.
What was he
Did
saying?
you see the other video? So there's two videos.
He kept yelling, "You're a free agent," and Cam's like, "Where's your dad?" He's like, "You're a free agent." Cam's like, "I'm rich." He said, "You're about to be poor." He's like, "You're a free agent." I was like, "What? Why is that happening?"
Did you see the
What's the
video
other video?
after that where they were in the huddle and Cam was trying to talk to him again?
And he's still yelling.
There's another video afterwards, and the kid's just being even more of a jerk. Like, Cam's like, "What'd you do on the field?" And the kid's like, "Come watch." And Cam's like, "What did you do today?" And the kid's just being a jerk. Cam finally looks at another kid's like, "Is he any good? Does he do anything?" And his buddy's like, "Oh, he's fast."
Just wild. Like, who? Why? First of all, why would a kid be heckling? I thought everybody loves Cam. Like, was that in
I
Atlanta?
don't know. Yeah,
don't
and the
even know what it
Deion
was.
Sanders story yesterday, that one was crazy. Did y'all see all the Deion Sanders stuff yesterday?
Got his stuff stolen. Got it back, though.
And then apparently didn't get it back? Or I don't know. He came out with another one late last night.
Oh, yeah?
How validating is it that when you're approaching
So, I'm definitely bringing that up.
Apparently it is National Margarita Day. Did you hear me?
So, I still got it's National Margarita Day.
That's what's trending on Twitter according to what's happening.
Oh, that was in Myrtle Beach.
The game? Jackson
Yeah, they had a
Stadium?
big camp down.
Cam Newton's camp.
Oh, Cam Newton's kid was in Myrtle Beach, huh?
Jackson State, 53-0 Knights.
Yeah, it was Ole Miss and Arkansas, I think, looking good baseball-wise. Oh, wow. LSU lost to Air Force. Auburn needed a walk-off to beat Presbyterian. Mizzou leads to, again, you guys help me with GCU? Oh, that was Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon, yeah.
Did they sweep them?
Yeah.
Ooh, no. Well,
No, they went 1-3.
no,
I don't
one
know
of-
why they played 4 games, but they split. I think they split a doubleheader yesterday.
About to head
Interesting.
back in.
Thanks, Jen. And you got 6 coming in?
Which one did you need?
I'll take 7 if you got it, but
Yeah, I've got 7. I just didn't
Yeah.
miss nothing in my head. So yeah.
beautiful. And I might call for a couple others here in the segment, just as a heads up. I'll try to flash you a number or send you a message.
Yeah, perfect. 7 straight in.
53-0, okay. All right, here we go. More cute.
9 months getting to this weekend. We had a good weekend with 3-0, and now it's a little bit. Take stock, and then continue to push through.
Mark Kingston summing up the 3-game sweep, Carolina over Dayton, as Gamecock fans would have hoped for, I think, in absolute beatdowns in the first couple of games. Patrick, you were talking about the power bats and then how that tends to even itself out in baseball when you get hot early on, and it happened yesterday where the Gamecocks pitching no problems against Dayton in game number 3, but the bats quiet until the 8th inning, breaking a 1-1 tie, scoring 4 runs, so winning games in multiple ways. But winning, I think, the operative word, and Bill, we've heard from a lot of frustrated Gamecock fans, and it's kind of been almost comical how the theme has developed. I mean, it's completely unfair going into baseball season. Like, please, baseball season, kind of save Gamecock fans has been the refrain from a lot of Carolina fans. We're really looking forward to baseball season. They better come through for us. And I understand it's only Dayton. Don't get me wrong. And Carolina baseball will never be defined by its non-conference season, even adding Texas to the Clemson series this year. But what happened over the weekend, I think, was a nice start for a program that certainly needs to get back to where Gamecock fans are used to it being. And it was absolutely dominant and certainly what Gamecock fans wanted to see this weekend. Would you agree, sir?
Yeah, it makes everybody, excuse me, I think it makes everybody feel a little bit better about themselves going to work this morning, that you see the baseball program play like you anticipate them playing, not just in recent years, but, over the last, 25, is that fair, Tim? I mean, this wasn't a flash in the pan success that was Carolina baseball. It was 25 years of really good baseball, 20 years, I guess, to about 2014 or somewhere in there. But with all that being said, you go right into the fire now with Clemson this weekend. And with Clemson having been on deck, you wanted to see South Carolina look dominant this past weekend, like they were already hitting on all cylinders. And I think for the most part, there's still some areas they need to work on, but for the most part, that's exactly what you got. Yeah, get some breakfast. That's fine. Just try not to make a mess.
Doing what they did on the field in between the lines was that we didn't have any weather issues and we actually got it in, and especially after we were sitting here last week complaining about a brutal weekend of weather, it timed out perfectly. It was a couple of years ago that they pushed the season back 1 week to try to give the teams from the north a little bit more of a chance, especially early on in the season. That seemed to work out really well for everyone, especially in our area this time this year, to start the season 1 week later than it could have started several years ago. But from the basketball perspective, Clayton Martin and company continuing to struggle. I was really impressed with the way that Don Staley and company bounced back against a ranked Kentucky team after that Tennessee performance that certainly had some fans, when we were talking last on Friday morning, a little bit upset and concerned about this Carolina team. Bill, what'd you make of basketball over the weekend?
Yeah, I watched that, and it's just a team that, I don't want to disrespect. I think those kids are trying hard. I don't feel like they're quitting, but it looks like a team who's had enough. Do y'all agree with that? Like, it's just, there's 3 games left. I think it's 3. Is that right? This week, next weekend, and then the weekend after. And it looks like a team who's just ready to be done with this season. And it's been a lot for them. It's been, it's been a lot for fans. And that's just the vibe I get watching them right now, is that I don't think it's fair to say blow it up, start over. And I don't mean that from a coaching change perspective, but I feel like everybody needs to get into an off season here and just go through a normal routine or something. They look done. They just look done. And it's a shame. This team I still think is more talented. I'm not saying they're a win the SEC type team, but I think they're more talented. They played. It's not clicked. There's not a lot of chemistry on that team, and it just looks like a team who's ready to get this season over with and move on to whatever's next.
No, when I was wrapping up yesterday, Michigan and Ohio State were playing. It was a 3-4 matchup, and I'm just watching that game like, dude, we are not even close to this level of play. I mean, the game just it looked like a different game altogether, the energy level and everything and the talent. I mean, yeah, we're better than the record, but being better than 5-11 isn't saying much. They're over it. I don't know. I would really you have a decent chance to win against Mississippi State and Georgia. If you could go on a 2-game win streak before you play Arkansas, I mean, I don't know that it would do anything for anyone going into next year, but make the guys feel better about themselves finish out the season. It's just going to be so ugly if you just go 0-3 to end this thing because they've clearly just given up. And I don't think Frank Martin wants his players to do that. I don't think Frank Martin teams traditionally do that, but they're playing with no energy right now, and just it's very difficult to watch South Carolina basketball at the moment.
Several interesting comments from Frank Martin after the game on Saturday. I guess what we should start with maybe one of the firsts in his coaching career. Jen, can we let everybody hear Frank Martin? Let's go with number 2 on your list here, talking about something that he just hadn't experienced in his entire coaching career.
Whatever you want to say, who I am on the sideline, and that I yell and all this other whatever, I really don't care. But the one thing you can't say is that my players ever get out of the way. And, for 35 years, my players have never gotten out of the way. We get out of the way this year. And it's very, very frustrating.
Frank Martin. Bill, as you're hearing that, what were you thinking? To me, that kind of sums it up. Getting out of the way, I think, is kind of a catch-all phrase for not making winning plays that you have to make and not playing the style that Frank Martin demands from his team. And it is very confusing, I think, for those of us watching from the outside. What do you think? It
is. Patrick and I have talked about it. I mean, like, we talked about it with A.J. Lawson. I wasn't sure if he would want to come back or play for Martin, but he did. And Patrick, I feel like back in the fall, you and I were like, oh, there's a sign that, the kids want to play for him, be a part of it. The way he's saying that, Frank, we've talked about it. Frank's always the guy who wears his emotion on his sleeve. He's not afraid to call his team out. He's not afraid to call himself out. And it feels like he's trying to actually hold back a little bit here because he knows that this year's been difficult on the kids. And it's like the message that he preaches to his team, they're not receiving. And some of it he understands because he hasn't been there. Some of it he's just completely agitated with and has had enough of. And to me, it comes across as a guy who would love to go on a very big rant right now, but also kind of knows that this team is mentally beaten down, but he's agitated with it.
Yeah, I would like to be in the locker room after one of these games and just hear what he says. I feel like he's just like, good try, pack it up, let's go. Yeah, I feel like these post-game talks are about 10 seconds long. He's just got nothing to say to him.
Yeah, I'm with you, Patrick. That's what I said. It feels like everybody on this team is just they're playing out the string. They know it. They're not immune. The fans might not be in the stands, but they're on social media. They are fully capable of knowing what people are saying right now, and it comes across right now as a team who's just the crazy part. You guys were saying it off air or on the live stream. They score points. It's a team that goes out there. It's like, man, I'm going to get mine. I ain't real worried about what the dude across from me is about to do offensively, but I'm going to get mine.
I don't know how much of that has to do with the fact that they're just giving up so many points, so it's going to happen naturally. Like in football, if you're just a defense that allows somebody to score on you in 2 minutes every possession, you're going to have chances too, and you're definitely going to score points. I don't know how much of it that factor is for South Carolina, but I mean, 78. Should be able to win games with 78 points in the SEC.
Let's hear one more from Frank Martin in his post-game comments after the 93-78 loss to Missouri. Makes it 4 losses in a row for Carolina. Actually, I think that's 5 losses in a row.
They get along. I'd rather have it when they get along. But at the end of the day, I need them to trust and respect our uniform, our culture, our program, and each other. And right now, we got guys that get along and enjoy being around each other. But when the game starts, they kind of don't do it for each other. And, that's a problem.
Bill, I saw you shaking your head there. And the full context of this, he was basically asked in the media Zoom call that we hear from players, and this team seems to like each other in their comments. Kind of where is the team mood at? And then that's where Frank, he got into a longer diatribe about liking a guy and trusting a guy. He said if he was playing on the team, nobody would like him. He said nobody liked Michael Carrera back in the day. But Carrera had your back on the courts. And Darius Thornwell, not the most liked teammate in the program during his time, because he held his teammates accountable on the court. And he said it's a difference between liking and trusting. And some guys, he didn't trust as far as he could throw all of the media listening to the Zoom call combined. And it's very telling, man. And I think that's the best explanation I've heard for me to kind of figure out this team and why it hasn't worked. We talked about, we kind of guessed at it, speculated at it, but that trusting on the court is massively broken.
That sounded like what you would describe an 8-year-old basketball team as. Yeah, I drop a play, and then they go out and don't even know if they're playing offense or defense.
No, that's what
but at least they get along.
That's exactly what happened. I was there for that the last 2 months.
Right. Go ahead. No, I was saying that's not how you describe a college basketball team. Like, at least they get along. One kid's running backwards, shooting on his own hoop, but at least the kids get along and they're not difficult in practice.
You and I said it a couple weeks ago, and it was the old phrase "too cool for school." And we've kind of, and I feel like we've done our show. I can't speak for every other show. Has done a good job of talking about what we see, but because we're not in the locker room, not being real sure what is wrong with this basketball team. But it's based on what we see, and it's the too cool for school mantra. Too cool to go out there and do the little things, the dirty things that win basketball games, that define Frank Martin's programs, to be in those rock fights, to be physical, to play defense, to get on the floor for loose balls. And what I hear right there is a coach saying, yeah, these kids go out there and it's, hey, how's my hair look today? Is my jersey on correctly? Are we wearing we're wearing the garden ones? Prefer to wear the black ones with these shoes that I'm wearing today. Like it seems like the focus is on a lot of other things. Now, some of that does fall on your head coach. He recruits the players. It is year 9. You know what you're getting. But at the same time, where did the mentality go wrong with this basketball team when you've had leaders through the years and I do think Silva developed into a leader his last year. He was pushed into that role. I think almost against his will. Kotsar was never going to be the vocal leader that you wanted to. It's just too much there for him. But that's what it does look like. Is this? It's a team of individuals and not individuals that become a team.
Just wondering, hadn't heard anything else about it. All right, Bill. Well, now's your chance. Love Chevy phone lines. Gamecock Larry up first this week at 803-404-6100. Patrick, I don't like your posture going into this with your head cocked.
No,
you just Larry a fair shot.
No, I'm not. No, this isn't about Gamecock Larry. It's about the last text where it's like, can we talk? What are you supposed to talk about? They beat a terrible Dayton team. Like I don't know how to expound upon that more.
Hey,
they looked really good.
Need anything that's positive. We could talk women's basketball. They did win by 20 yesterday.
Yeah, let's talk about that next.
Gamecock Larry, get us back on the positive track. Gamecock Larry, he's the guy that can do it. I can guarantee. We're doing good.
Posse, this is a mafia.
Kidding.
Don Corleone on the phone with us about to send down hits on some other people.
basketball looked good. Softball 2 out of 3. Baseball 3 out of 3. So that's 6. That's 6 and 1. And I mean, our basketball team, it hurts. I mean, it really hurts me to see them. I'm not saying they're struggling, but they just ain't playing. They are not a team. They are not a team. You know, we're gonna be okay. But go out and get my shot Wednesday. I'm hoping I can get my license and my motorized scooter. Cause look out, Swanson. Here I come, right back where I started from.
Oh, Master G.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Wow.
Just beautiful.
Elevated
To
quickly.
the hip and the hop, the hippity hip hop. Well done, Gamecock Larry. Good luck following that up on the Club Chevy phone lines today at 803-404-61.
He was meaner to the basketball team than any of us were.
I was shocked.
They're not a team. They're not even playing.
It's more
That's
the
worse than just
delivery.
saying they're struggling and they're not very good.
You didn't say it like that, Patrick.
Yeah, it's all about the inflection. And I just have a angry sounding voice, so everything sounds bad when I say it.
Anthony from Kershaw would like to know, what are the requirements to join Gamecock Larry's posse? It's a great question.
Mafia now. Did
You
you
need a scooter.
I mean, that was the setup. Like, it's being labeled as a posse, I think, for tax purposes, but it's actually going to be a mafia, is what I got out of that. Because if you have somebody who has to relay the orders to the other, was it capos? Yeah, I mean, there's a structure there that starts to come down.
Is there one?
Nice work. Tanya hitting us up on the Facebook live stream. Love my daddy, Gamecock Larry. Good for you.
He had it all
Tanya.
down, too. I didn't even know the softball deal. He was
He's
ready to go.
Well, Gamecock Larry, now the consigliere. You guys heard that, right, Bill? I know you made that translation.
Is that what it is?
Translation. Yeah, I think that's his role now in the Gamecock Larry posse. Anthony, if you don't know the requirements to get in the Gamecock Larry posse, you're probably not eligible. That's the only thing I can say to answer your question.
You got to know a guy who knows a guy.
Right, exactly. This is not something that you apply for. You don't send a resume in. You get asked.
You get brought in against your will.
Or you're born into it, apparently. In Tanya's case.
If Gamecock Larry sends a car for you, it may be one of the back doors are always locked. Get out.
That's exactly right.
Oh, fantastic way to start my Monday morning off. Thank you for joining us as well. We see you filling up the Crew Care Heating and Air text line and on the live stream. Love that you're a part of the show. Love that we're talking some Gamecock baseball as well as figuring out exactly kind of perspective on basketball. We'll get into some national stuff. Cam Newton, interesting interaction over the weekend. Deion Sanders is now officially a college football coach, but not without a little controversy. So we'll touch on that when we come back and wrap up hour number one strong. 803-404-6100 if you would like to call or text. It's the early game here on 107.5. Let's see what Bill's got here. See him bring it strong this morning.
Mafia is, you're gonna pay him back, you get in a little bit of trouble. You got to be careful with that kind of mafia now with First Palmetto Bank, with Jacob Crowder. Maybe a little bit more friendly. Maybe somebody you go to, especially if you're looking to refinance. If you're thinking about buying a home, refinancing, maybe go to somebody who will not break your legs if something goes wrong. But right now, the way you save money with low interest rates, you don't have to worry about that. It's a fantastic time to refinance. It's an incredible time to buy a home. You're getting great deals. And with the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, he's a phone call away to get the process started. 803-719-1005. You can email him, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER, firstpalmetto.com. Jacob's there for his clients, for his customers. Find out for yourself how hard he will work and get things approved for you. Low interest rates right now are an exceptional time to make the move. You just need to get in touch with the mortgage guru. You can do that via his cell phone. You can shoot him a text message. You can give him a phone call, set up a meeting, And at that point, you're off and running, either refinancing or looking for that dream home. 803-719-1005. That phone number again, 803-719-1005. You can email them the letter J, Crowder, CRWDER at firstpalmetto.com. He's the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. All right, let's see how everybody's coming along here. How's everybody coming along?
Now, Bill's really doing some work. Patrick, what you watching?
The Maryland, Michigan highlights. Too many, because basketball's happening right now, a lot of the lacrosse games are getting bumped down to the plus channels. So I couldn't watch the Maryland game. I don't have BTN plus.
Gotcha. Let's see. Somebody hit us up, messing with you on the text line. We got John L. Patrick will never understand the college baseball mentality while he watches hockey in the frozen tundra apartment.
Yeah, probably correct.
You got to touch on the hockey thing too, the Tahoe deal. You see it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Best tweet I saw about that from Randy Scott, Sports Center guy. His buddies with my buddy Matt. So let me get this straight. They didn't account for the sun.
Crazy. It was unreal though. I fell asleep trying to watch it on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
It was late. It didn't start back up until midnight.
Did you find your sake?
Yeah.
How'd that work out for you? that face up saying it all?
No, it went well. I actually felt much better the morning after drinking sake than I did drinking beer.
I believe that.
Easy. I got 2 bottles. One of them was a 8%er and one was a 17%er. I just don't understand how it works really. One tasted like a wine almost, like a really fruity wine, and then one tasted like sake.
Nice.
Yeah. This is shorter, so we're about to head back in.
Okay. Bill, back in. Let's come back with Khalil. Is that number 6? I think we got.
It's been a long 8 months.
Can Bill hear us?
What's that?
Can Bill hear us when he's not in the...
I don't think he's going to be making it. We got an Australian shortstop to hear from. We got plenty.
We've had a lot of time away from the game, and we've kind of bonded over that, and we've been working hard, and I think the results showed this past weekend that we have the talent to be one of the top teams in the country this year. We just have to continue.
That's Australian native George Khalil, Gamecock shortstop in his 3rd consecutive year manning shortstop for Mark Kingston and company. Summing up the weekend pretty well, I think. A sweep against Dayton, and it wasn't very difficult the first couple of days, and then it got difficult real quick yesterday, or all day long, going into the 8th inning, tied at 1, and it was Khalil going the other way with a big 2-strike hit and a double that brought in the eventual winning run. And Carolina would add a bases clearing double there to get a little bit more insurance, and ends up winning that thing 5-1, the final score. Yesterday it was 12-1 in the opener, 12-5 in game number 2. It was Wes Clark really headlining the first couple of games, going 6 out of 7 with 3 home runs. He added a double yesterday as well, and the Gamecocks take care of business like all Gamecock fans were almost unfairly counting on in a big way, I think. And this program came through, leading to next weekend. We've already gotten so many demands here, and it's not even asking; it's just demanding. Let's see who was demanding this thing. It was Paulie, I think, that hit us up here, and then Gamecock or Clemson Allen. Paulie says, "Talk about coming series with Clemson this weekend." It's Monday, dude. It's Monday. Calm down. The series against Clemson doesn't start Friday, so talk about it. We got plenty of time.
You know, it was 3 hours, right?
14 hours of Carolina Clemson breakdown all week long.
And honestly, the thing I want to know the most is for George Khalil, being from Australia, does the ball spin the opposite direction here than it does in Australia?
We'll see what you're saying there.
I was also wondering, did he get to go home at all, or has he just been in Colombia for a year now?
No, he went home, and there were issues travel-wise getting home, and I think he was good coming back. I think the issue was getting home and getting back into Australia. And yeah, that's part of his long 8 months that I think he was referencing there. But also the part that Gamecock fans probably want to focus on more than that is have a chance to be one of the best teams in the country. That's what Carolina baseball has been. Bill, you're talking about the long run of success. That's what Carolina fans, I think, appropriately demand, and we'll see if this team can do it. This weekend certainly didn't show any signs that Carolina can't be. I don't know if we could quite go to the step that George was talking about because we had no idea if Dayton's worth a dang or not. I think they've been pretty good in their conference, certainly haven't been a college baseball powerhouse or anywhere close. So the Gamecocks did what they're supposed to do. And how they did it was impressive, showing off the power, showing off the pitching, both starting and relieving. Julian Bosnick yesterday, it would probably be overlooked by and large, but had eight straight strikeouts. He only threw 3 1/3, had a blister on his finger, but struck out 9, set the school record for consecutive strikeouts. Did you guys know who had that before? Bill, I know you're good with names and remembering Gamecock stuff, but did you see who had the previous school record for consecutive strikeouts? The names kind of boggled my mind. Did you see those at all? Did you catch it?
I didn't see that. Must have been something on Twitter. I didn't catch that.
I am looking for confirmation right now. Okay, so one of them was just here in the last few seasons that would probably not surprise you too much. And Bosnick ended up with 9. Is that right? No, 8. So he tied the school record. Nope, it broke the.
No, he broke it. Yeah,
sorry.
Tommy said the names on the radio broadcast. Well, Tommy actually said before the 8th batter, he started to say something. He said, "Oh, actually, I'm not going to say anything until after this at bat."
Oh, that is an experienced
professional.
That's good there. Well done, Tommy Moody, not breaking the streak or giving him the jinx. So Julian Bosnick, 8 straight strikeouts against Dayton on Sunday, setting the school record. The former record was 7, shared by 2 Carolina pitchers. Bill, you want to throw a name or two out there that you think might have it? I would have gone Matt Price number 1 as my first guess. Maybe Kip Bachman. Neither one of those guys on the list. Just
based on how it has to work, I don't think it'd be if you think about Price, you said it's going to be 7. That means he would have had to have some kind of extended 3-inning relief appearance, which it's not that he didn't do. It's just it wasn't.
Hey, Tommy.
It was a little bit more rare.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Good,
I'll go. I think it's got to be somebody like, say, a Jordan Montgomery. I'm gonna throw out a couple names, and you tell me if I'm in the ballpark, and then I'll narrow it down.
Okay.
I'm going to go with someone who's like a Montgomery, or maybe a Clark Schmidt, a Tyler Webb is who I'm maybe someone like that. I'm trying to think of somebody who's a little bit more hard throwing, who can mow some people down there rather quickly. I would go somewhere there. I'm probably leaving another guy or two off. People are yelling at their radio. That's been a frontline starter here in recent years.
Yeah, maybe Will Crow in that mix.
Will definitely would be a good
stuff. Who's gotten to the big leagues? None of those names correct. All good guesses. And Tyler Webb's in the major leagues and has been for a while. Nope. Patrick, you even heard the names and don't even remember them, or do you remember them at all?
No, I don't remember them at all.
So the one recent one, as you're continuing to scream at your radio, maybe you're going Peter Bauer back in the day, or Scott Barber if you're going to stick with the Killer Bees thing from that 2000 season where Carolina went 50-6. Not those guys.
There's one name, real quick. There's one name, because you keep saying, when you say Bauer or Barber, is that the one that you're going the most recent?
No. These have both happened within the last now 15 years.
The only guy that I could think of who wasn't a huge name, but he had the monster performance. And if you strike out, I think he struck out 18 against Clemson. If you strike out 18, it means you can get on a roll, would be Billy Buckner, who had, I think it was a Saturday performance he had against Clemson that was he was a junior college prospect. I think he was only here 1 year.
Yep.
And obviously didn't go on to do things in the majors, but was an incredible Saturday performance against Clemson. But that might have been mid-2000s, late 2000s.
I think that was the 04 season where Carolina finished up its 3rd straight College World Series trip, I believe, that year. He was a JUCO guy, one and done at Carolina. Nope, not him. More recent than that. So the most recent guy is a little bit easier. And I thought that might be where you're going when you're talking about dominating performance. Oh, Matt Campbell's another great guess. Another big-time strikeout guy from those early 2000 teams. Michael Roth, a guess from Ben from Lexington. Another good guess. Obviously, one of the best pitchers of all time. So more recently, in 2018, it was Adam Hill with 7 consecutive strikeouts. And then if you knew the other name, you are a Gamecock baseball genius. So Adam Hill did it against Charleston Southern in 2018. The other one happened in 2007 against Mississippi State. It was the lefty out of the bullpen, Alex Ferraro, who didn't necessarily have a stellar career, always had good stuff, but man, it just goes to show you how records are really interesting. But now that one owned by Julian Bosnick from yesterday, 8 consecutive strikeouts, part of a Carolina sweep over Dayton. Plenty more about that as we roll on here on the other game. All right, Bill, you're out.
Gunner family is doing good this morning. Sounds like everybody's up. There's been some powdered donuts that have been enjoyed, some breakfast. That's right. Sending them covered in powdered donuts, so we're good to go. So I'll be back here in just a little while.
All right, man.
Man,
What, Patrick?
I would love a powdered donut.
Your brain went the exact opposite place as mine. Like, powdered donuts on a Monday morning?
Bill gives his kids donuts every morning.
Seems like that. I think he likes to hype it up, I'm hoping, for their
That was
nutrition.
such a rarity in our house. We would be able to make the Dunkin' trip for like birthdays.
Right? I had, so my kids are 15 days apart. So the oldest one turned 8 last week, and then the youngest one turns 6 tomorrow. And so we had, I feel like we celebrate this thing all month. But
Yeah.
that's the tradition in the house on the birthday or on special days to have the cinnamon rolls in the morning. I love it.
The Pillsbury pack.
Powdered donuts, I can't imagine.
Now they're homemade cinnamon rolls, right? Like you know,
Heck no.
yeast rise.
Right. Rises right from that box, that little roll that you throw them
The
on.
Pillsbury can that you pop. Yeah.
I
Exactly.
can't stand those. Just because
Those-
it scares me. You know.
Oh, the popping
Yeah.
part? They're so
Like-
good though.
Yeah.
There's an orange one too. It's like orange cream or something like that. That's phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
None of that for the next 36 days though. 35 days or whatever it is.
So, Patrick, is that audio from Cam Newton getting razzed worth playing?
I don't think so. I don't know that it would work for the radio because there's a bunch of kids in the crowd between them, and I don't know if you would be able to clean up what's in the background there.
Fair. What about Dion? I meant to listen to him. Anything he had
I
to say?
didn't hear anything from Dion. That
That's
might be
Saw him on the
I saw
program.
the articles. Oh no, he sat down. There's a 90-second clip of it. Do you want me to send that over to them?
No, why don't you listen to it right now? We'll all decide whether or not it's worth playing on the radio.
Yeah.
Kids played really well. While the game was going on, somebody came in and stole every darn thing I had in the locker room, on the coach's office. Yeah. Credit cards, wallets, watches. Thank God I had on my necklaces. So when I talk about quality, raising the standards, that goes for
That sounds like.
Yeah.
Jen, were you saying that you found that?
She's not listening. I'm just gonna send it to her.
Yeah.
Working on the old timey clip of the day with Brandon.
Oh, gotcha. Yes, you got Tom Moody on the horn. Yeah, that's too.
I just sent you the Dion thing.
I'll send her a message. Don't worry about it. Patrick, you tweeted it, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you. Getting all the behind-the-scenes stuff on the video stream right now. All right. You didn't mess with the baseball audio at all, did you, on Sunday?
Mm-mm. No, that was in the middle of basketball.
Yeah, so everybody listening, if you had any questions about that, the way they did the broadcast, so they ran the radio audio on the internet broadcast. I think it was a timing thing, is why they ended up just doing the one camera deal with no graphics, and I think they were doing the Tuesday game the same, and then after that, they're planning on doing the traditional broadcast like they've done on SEC Network Plus. So yeah, I know it's crazy how reliant I am on TV graphics to watch a game. Did you see any of the broadcast, Patrick?
Yeah, I tried to watch it on Saturday, and it was just pointless. I couldn't, because the radio broadcast is not synced up with the game anyway, so I can't even tell who's at the plate at that point, and it's just impossible.
It's amazing how far college baseball has come. Who tells us a lot of times? I forget. I think it was Jeff Coat. No, maybe he played on that team. Maybe it was Trey Dyson talking about. No, it wasn't Dyson. He was on that team too. Forget who it was. Maybe it was Jeff Coat, and he'd already gone, but that 2001 team that was out in Stanford in a super regional. I'm pretty sure it was Jeff Coates the year after he left, maybe. He might have been playing in that thing and it was somebody else, but talking about having to look on the internet and constantly refresh like the game cast. That was the only way you could get it.
To follow a game.
But it wasn't just a game. It was an elimination game to get to the College World Series.
Right.
And we're talking about game number 1, 2, and 3 against Dayton to start the season. How we still got to watch it on the internet, but we're just mad because there was only one camera and didn't have graphics.
Yeah. I like hearing about the old degenerates that would have to call in the hotline to get scores back in the day.
Oh, right.
Phone number you would call, and it would be like a ticker, but they would just read off the scores, like South Carolina 12.
Nice.
85.
Jen, can you hear me? Can you wave?
Yeah.
How about we come in with Kingston there? I believe it's number 7.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Mark Kingston starting us off in hour number 3. The Carolina baseball coach can breathe easy after the Gamecocks sweep Dayton, and they do it convincingly in the first couple of games and end up pulling out a close one yesterday for sure, and show some dominant power, show some dominant arms, and show some things that certainly this team can work on if it plans on being one of the best teams in the country. 12-1 in the season opener. I'm trying to say, I was going to say series opener. We can go to season opener. It was 12-5 on Saturday, and Wes Clark going 6 out of his first 7 with 3 home runs, leading the way in the 24-run onslaught in the first 2 games. And then yesterday, 1-1, bottom 8, 2 outs, and the senior, the 5th-year senior, George Khalil, the shortstop, going the other way, just sneaking one inside the right field line with a double that scored the eventual game-winning run. Carolina would go ahead and sweep or unload the bases with a bases-clearing double, and they end up winning it 5-1 yesterday to get off to a good start here in the 2021 season that will crank up real quick. Several of you have already pointed out and just want to talk about immediately with Carolina Clemson coming up this weekend. We will get to plenty more of that. First, let's digest a little bit more of what we saw and heard over the weekend, including some Gamecock basketball. Patrick, we talked about that. We heard from Frank Martin a little bit in hour number 1. Another kind of listless performance, I think might be the best way to put it, for the Gamecock men, losing by 15 to Missouri at home and dropping their 5th straight, 93-78, that final score. Don Staley and company, the opposite effect on the women's side of things, getting a big win against a ranked Kentucky team and just running away with this thing, especially in the second half. I believe the final score 76-55. Impressive bounce-back performance after a brutal second half up in Knoxville in the midweek, where they gave up 50 points and ended up losing a 16-point lead in the game. I think they might have been up 15 there at half even. Yesterday, they scored 42 in the second half, limit Kentucky to half of what Tennessee scored. Kentucky only had 25 points in the second half.
It got closer. I think it got within maybe 5 or 6 points in the middle, sometime in the third quarter, and then it was something around the 5-minute mark of the third quarter that they just turned it on and showed no mercy for the rest of the game. So that was very good, and it was good. And they also did it without Aaliyah Boston. I mean, Aaliyah Boston only scored 4 points, and they just couldn't get anything done with her offensively, which was nice to see, because the last game, Tennessee game, all the people that were all fired up about it were saying they can't win without Aaliyah Boston. And they were particularly hard on Zia Cook. I think a lot of people were, and she came out and was awesome, 21 points, and knocked down some big threes late. She was fantastic. So they can win anyway. They're good enough that they can win no matter what. It's not a one-person team. So, yeah, everything was good for them. Senior night, Lily Grisette played well, and her senior night hasn't gotten as many minutes as normal. So it was nice for the seniors to get a nice little send-off there.
13 for Grisette. Destiny Henderson also double figures with 14. Letitia M here also 12 points in double figures. And Patrick, to your point, that's how good this team and program is. And I think that's why it was kind of laughable to hear any kind of criticism, or the specific criticism we heard, I think, from several after the Carolina loss against Tennessee. It's a tough loss. It was not a good performance in the second half. Nobody's doubting that. It's just when you keep going and you want to point out specifics or whatever. That had Dawn Staley actually. I don't know the best way to put her mood. Maybe in a cheerful mood, or in a good enough mood yesterday to comment kind of on that. Would love for you to hear it as we're starting here in hour number 2. It's a really interesting comment, I thought. Let's hear from Dawn Staley now. Some of her comments from yesterday after the massive second half that Carolina put on Kentucky and had absolutely no problem pulling away from the Wildcats. Weighing in after the big win against Kentucky yesterday, and she went on to mention that she's in a great spot, especially from a women's college basketball perspective, to have the amount of support that the Gamecocks have had in the last several years. It does come with some of the fair weather fans and some of the criticism after a tough performance like you saw last week in the midweek, and I think it goes into extra motivation. Patrick, it boggles my mind at this high a level where Dawn Staley clearly is. I mean, she's done things that no one has done in women's college basketball. How she can pay any attention to those of us, I'll put myself in that category out there, who have done, compared to her, nothing in the basketball world. Absolutely nothing. But it also is an insight, I think, into her and the greatest of competitors' mindsets. They will take anything to motivate them a little bit extra, because that competitive edge that Will Muschamp always used to use is just so massive. I think most of us can't even comprehend the thought process for some of the greatest that have ever done.
Yeah, and I think it's trending more in the direction of all athletes and coaches and everything paying attention to the Twitter mob, because it does also resonate well with for players, I think. I mean, you even heard Asia in her statue speech, talking about Dawn Staley attacking the Twitter trolls on her own behalf. So, I mean, that's just what you're going to get. It rubs some people the wrong way. But what she put out after the last loss, she put out a tweet that said something like, woke up this morning and still at my job, and I love it. So sorry to all those people that didn't want me to. It's like, dude, they're just the most irrational people. If you're calling in saying this team is doomed because they lost one game, and get over it. We're going to be fine.
That's where that comment came from, a question about that, and she quickly mentioned that it was a joke and the whole thing, but just any kind of thought, wasting any kind of energy in that way is kind of mind-boggling to me, but clearly I have not reached that level from a competitive standpoint, and most of us never will quite understand that. I've gotten to that.
And we just flip on the game and watch the results, but it is a whole different monster having a motivated team that is winning in dominating fashion every single week. So maybe those little things is what you need to hang your hat on when you're so dominant, and you can't go into practice after a big win and just say, keep it up, do the same thing. You got to find a way to keep them motivated somehow. It's insane what the locker room vibes are, and how Frank Martin versus Dawn Staley has to get their team motivated for the next game. I mean, it's just, I don't even know how you go about it.
Speaking of Frank, we'll let you hear some of what he had to say after the fifth straight loss for the Gamecock men. That's coming up as we roll on here in hour number 2. Glad you're a part of our Monday show here. Jen Jensen holding things down, producing from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios in downtown Columbia. You can find her on Twitter at Jen Jensen Morse. Patrick is at _Patrick Perrette. I'm at Tim Hill 1075. You can also find our live video stream up and rolling all over the place, YouTube, Facebook. We're on Twitter as well. That station account is at 1075 The Game. The live stream sponsored by Buford Lending. Certainly happy to have them on board, and happy you're with us as well. If you would like to join the show, hit us up at 803-404-6100. You can call or text. We're just getting going here in hour number 2. It's the early game. It's 1075 The Game. What you see, and I love seeing the Patrick smirk.
Just Richard, just women's basketball expert.
One more time, sorry.
Just Richard, the women's basketball expert.
Nice.
I'm very
love it.
Everything.
Unbelievable. She's still the key, Patrick. Trust him. Here's what I needed Richard's text to say. That was me last week. My bad. That's it. Instead, how many sentences we get? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Way too many.
5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sentences this morning without any admission of guilt or any kind of contrition at all. Classic.
Like, the point is, they still won without needing to play through her. Like, nothing that he said is applicable.
I'm glad you guys are on the live video stream too, so we can read some of these texts that we don't read on the air. Like Rich hits us up and says, this may be trivial, but doesn't Dawn own any Gamecock gear? I mean, if she's going to wear a hoodie to coach a game, shouldn't it be a Gamecock hoodie? Asking for a friend. Wow. Unreal. It reminds me of being a former local news nerd. I think I probably see this on my little Twitter timeline more than other people, about women especially that will get criticized via social media about their hair most of the time. Some of these things are so brutal.
Oh, yeah, Dion, I think Jen just responded and said, Dion says pissed off in that Twitter clip. Does that need to be taken out?
Yes, Jen.
Like I said, I'm finishing up Tommy's thing so I can run, and then I'll get that cleaned up a little bit. It's a minute 30. Do you want that much, or do you just want me to kind of see the gist of it for Dion?
Oh, definitely not too much for Dion.
Yeah.
The beginning's fine with me. First 25 seconds or so, if there's nothing that has to run after that. Patrick, you heard the whole thing. Is that cool?
I didn't hear the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll let you know when it's ready.
Thank you. And Jim, we are doing the normal breaks this hour, correct?
Yeah, 10 and 40.
Just
And
2 breaks?
Just 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I put in
Thank
there.
you.
Each hour is 10 and 40, and then you got a 7:40 here, but.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yes, David, we do know what the shortened version of Richard is.
It's going to be great for the people listening for the 7:15 to 7:45.
Yeah. Good block. Probably come back with some Frank here.
Yeah, we got to do Tahoe, we got to do Cam, we got to do Dion.
Yeah, plenty here.
Basketball, baseball.
So Jen, how about we'll come back, I'll do a liner, and then we'll do 3. Frank, number 3, please. Oh, I got a notification from YouTube on here about the live stream on my phone. It's the first time that's popped up.
What was it?
Just that the live stream's going down, I think.
See if I subscribe account is.
That's pretty good, Craig.
I don't necessarily understand why coaches aren't wearing suits this year.
It's a good point. It's like they do understand that the games still are on TV, right?
Yeah, like you're only wearing a suit so the people that are attending the game think that you're classy. Like,
If that was the case, the local news would just be all what we're wearing, right?
yeah,
There wasn't a studio audience there.
I think they should just be fine if that's what they want to wear. Just wear it.
But I've never understood the suits to begin with. Like, what are you doing, dude? You're coaching basketball. Why are we dressing up like it's church? I understand. I guess it's the respecting the game and the whole thing, but
I guess. I kind of like it, though, because you can see some guys. I mean, I would be one of those guys, but like Bruce Pearl's famous for just sweating through the jacket.
right.
Unbelievable thing to see. Sweating through the shirt is one thing, but sweating through the jacket's a totally different monster, and it's impressive.
Like Buzz Williams, that guy should never.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Never get the 3-piece suit. Those things have to be ruined. Just maybe it's just spur the old. Maybe this is for big laundry. What do you think?
Yeah.
Dry cleaning, running into some kind of scam.
Dry cleaner glove. Yeah. Dry cleaners have been hurting in the pandemic.
They got to be hurting here too, man.
Yeah, I wonder if they get dry cleaned on campus. Like, does he just take it off and leave the facility in shorts and a t-shirt, or does he have to take his own suits? He doesn't have to take his own suits to dry clean.
I'm guessing those equipment guys that everybody doing the uniforms also do the. I would hope do the suits, but that would be.
Well, yeah, they can't be washed the same way, right? Like, that's what we do for lacrosse. Every day you'd leave practice and you just had a little ring and you just put all your stuff on the ring and throw it in the bin, and we'd get our laundry done every day. But
yeah, maybe we get the skinning from Mac and everybody on the equipment side of things. Maybe Ryan Fisher can weigh in from the base. That's not a concern from baseball. We get Matt Locke to weigh in on that, but he didn't have to do that with. What was it? Who's your boy rowing the boat? PJ Fleck does the kind of the same thing. Anybody else in football these days?
He does the windbreaker over the
right
over the suit.
It's the casual dressed up.
Right.
It's who did it in the NFL? Mike Nolan there for a little while.
Did Marty? No, Marty Schottenheimer didn't, did he?
Who's that?
Marty Schottenheimer. He just passed away last week.
I think he went just shirt and tie.
Yeah.
Jen, I'm going to go liner here, and then would like to do a number 3 with Frank, please.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. You all right back there?
That's great.
All right, getting back into the show here. About a week left in February. And then less than 2 weeks into March, we're teeing it up. Our spring golf tournament out at Windermere, March 12th. I can't even get my dates for months straight. Friday, I meant to say. Friday, March 12th is when we're teeing it up at Windermere. 10 o'clock, 4-person captain's choice format. You can sign up as a team or as an individual. Just give them a call over there at Windermere, 786-7888. It's going to be a blast. Breakfast and lunch included. Our spring golf tournament sponsored by Integrated Media. It's still your home, just smarter. IntegratedMediaInc.com, raising some money for Camp Cole out there, a local charity that's getting going, I think, this summer. Really looking forward. I guess that I don't even know if you call them a local charity because they're going to bring a bunch of nonprofit groups together, but it's going to be kind of the hub for kids being given some opportunities, getting some opportunities that they might not have gotten before. So happy to support that cause. And really looking forward to getting the heckle hole going out there. And even if you don't play golf, I'd love to have you out there and raising money for a good cause and having a good time, hoping to get some good weather on Friday, March 12th, again, 10 a.m. out at the Windermere Club, 786-7888. Get your spot now. Wanted to let you
Will the heckle hole involve like grading people? You've seen what Max Homa does, right? That's why people love him.
I have not.
That's his big thing on Twitter is that people will send him videos of their swing and he'll just roast them. That's how he got really big on Twitter. So we need somebody there to do that.
And Homa and darn near tears yesterday, getting choked up about winning Tiger's event, the Genesis, and how he was scared. He saw Tiger. He was scared to talk to him early in the week, and now he's got to talk to him when he handed him the trophy. He was kind of embarrassed that he missed a 3-footer that could have won it. He had made 99.5% of 3-foot putts and misses it on the 72nd hole when he hit just as good an approach when you're in that position on the PGA Tour to win. So unfortunately, it was kind of anticlimactic, and both guys struggling down the stretch. Tony Finau with the putt to win it on the first sudden death hole, and he misses it and continues his streak of being so close and not being able to close the deal, and Homa able to win it in the second playoff hole there out of the Genesis. But entertaining weekend of golf. The weather really surprisingly for being it so close to LA out there. The wind playing havoc with things on Saturday. Dustin Johnson jumped to the top of the leaderboard. He had a tough Sunday. So golf coming through for us as we're headed to match play this week, and then I think it's the Players Championship maybe the week after that as we're building up to the Masters not too far away. So good stuff on the golf course there from the PGA Tour perspective. And again, we'll be on the golf course Friday, March 12th out at Windermere, 786-7888, where you can sign up. Want to let you hear a little bit from Frank Martin now after a 5th straight loss, another tough performance. Missouri, the latest for the Gamecocks, 93-78 on Saturday. And interesting comments, just some of what Frank Martin had to say afterwards. Frustrated, disappointed, confused even. I think you can throw a bunch of adjectives in there. We've talked about it before, and we certainly won't harp on it with Gamecock baseball on the other end of the spectrum with the sweep against Dayton and a lot of positive things. But Patrick, is there, you being a lacrosse player back in the day, is there a lacrosse equivalent of what you just heard? Because that is mind-boggling for a college basketball player. Not just a college basketball player. I can't think. I mean, maybe you have to understand my personal perspective being a frustrated, failed basketball player that played a little bit in high school. And I had my high school coach once accused me of missing the second free throw on purpose if I saw someone that was about to come in.
So you couldn't get subbed out?
I didn't do it on purpose, but my free throw percentage on that second shot wasn't good. It wasn't close to my stellar 70% otherwise. But I think there might have been something in my brain saying, yeah, I don't want to come out right now. To have, because if you're not familiar with basketball in that way, that is basically saying, please take me out of the game. I must come out of the game right now if you're telling your coach that you have 4 fouls. As opposed to what we usually see in top-level basketball, that waving off thing. I'm okay. Leave me in the game. I got it, man. And a lot of times, that player, if he's, first of all, even just confident enough to tell his coach that or relay that message to the bench, clearly there's a solid level of trust there. And a lot of times, coaches will defer to that player in that moment. Now, I shouldn't say a lot of times, but occasionally that'll happen, right? Most of the time the coach says, "Nah, you got to get out, man. I get it. I know you want to play, and you trust yourself in the whole thing, but I don't trust you. You got to get out. It's my job to make sure we have you down the stretch and the whole thing." That is mind-boggling to hear someone say, "Hey, I got 4 fouls, coach. Please take me in."
Only one person had 4 fouls in South Carolina, and they had to guard Tillman. So I wouldn't really want to be guarding Jeremiah Tillman either. So
I'm not saying I don't understand how you get 4 fouls, especially playing the defense that.
I almost understand why you want to come out of the game, but that's why I'm not a high-level SEC basketball player.
That kind of sums up the season in a lot of ways. That's why Frank, I think, brought it up in his post-game comments that we just had you hear a portion of. We'll let you hear more from him as we continue to roll on. Plenty more to discuss as well. Gamecock baseball, let's get back into that. If you're just joining us, especially this morning, you're saying, "Hey, been looking forward to baseball for a long time. This frustrating basketball season, frustrating football season. I don't want to hear about it anymore." I get that. And to see what Carolina did to Dayton over the weekend is encouraging. I'm not sure how much more we can take it other than, say, encouraging and exactly what you needed to have happen. Because when you're South Carolina baseball and you welcome in Dayton or anyone else, basically, in the first series of the season, it was Holy Cross last year. We've seen other ones, Liberty in years past and the whole thing. And there are different levels of non-major college baseball programs. I don't know where exactly to put Dayton in there. Not terrible, but certainly not a tremendous opponent. And you're supposed to win. And you're supposed to win not close games. Now, keep in mind, Auburn is ranked in the preseason about where Carolina is nationally. They needed a walk-off hit to beat Presbyterian in their third game, and I think they got the sweep there. We saw Georgia, I think, drop a game to Georgia Southern maybe over the weekend. They won 3 out of 4, so there was a Georgia fan that was a little sensitive about Gamecock Larry saying that Georgia struggled, or it was another texter maybe that said Georgia struggled a little bit. SEC programs who didn't struggle over the weekend, and that I think you can talk a little bit more definitively about what kind of seasons they're going to have. Arkansas and Ole Miss playing in a tournament against really good Big 12 opponents. I think it was Texas and Texas Tech. The other two lined up in those things. The SEC teams win those 2 games. The Big 12 teams drop those 2 games. So if you're one of those programs, I think you can be a little bit more confident in what you have to start the 2021 season. But no matter who you beat and how you perform in the first weekend, if you're trying to base a lot of season projection on just one weekend, good luck with that in baseball at any level, but especially college baseball. I'm not trying to be a wet blanket at all. I'm just trying to put this in proper perspective, because what you see from Wes Clark, I mean, home runs, when you go 6 for 7, you hit 3 home runs in your first 7 plate appearances, you can't do much better than that, man. That is massively impressive. He added a double yesterday as well. From a pitching perspective, when you strike out 8 guys in a row like Julian Bosnick did yesterday to set the school record, you can't do much better than that. He leaves after 3 1/3 because of a blister, by the way. The starting pitching on Friday was really good from Thomas Farr. Brandon Jordan, not quite as good on Saturday, but the bullpen, by and large, exactly what you needed to see from the Gamecock perspective. You had some veterans come out of the bullpen and look like they were supposed to look, in Daniel Lloyd and Brett Carey, and then you had a bunch of freshman arms getting their first action and really coming through. I think all those things give you plenty of reason for optimism. I'm just trying to say, pump the brakes if you're saying that it's a guaranteed Omaha team, and I don't think most Gamecock fans are. I think most Gamecock fans are just happy to see wins at this point after struggles in men's basketball and football, Patrick.
Yeah, and I mean, look, if you're just going to look across the state, Clemson swept Cincinnati as well. I don't know how Cincinnati compares to Dayton. I assume Cincinnati would be slightly better just based off their program or athletic profile as a school. But yeah, it was a good weekend. But I was just looking up Wes Clark's height, weight, because he is a house. He says he's 236, 6'2", 236. I would have actually guessed that he was like 5'9", 250, because he's a stocky dude. He's just murdering baseballs. It was, if nothing else, at least this is the kind of baseball team that I like to watch because they just crush balls.
Just had a question in on the Cool Air Heating and Air text line from an anonymous texter. What did the Clemson Tigers do in baseball this past weekend? They also swept, but they took out Cincinnati. Different kind of games. They won 5-0, 5-2, and 8-7 yesterday in a walk-off win in 10 innings. So the Game 3 closed just like the Gamecocks was yesterday. It was tied at 1 going to the bottom of the 8th when George Khalil got the go-ahead double, and then the Gamecocks clear the bases after that to get some insurance. But not quite the offensive performance that Carolina put on, but really impressive pitching performances on Friday and Saturday. I believe Saturday's was from Columbia native Tyler Owenchuk as well, as a freshman. A Saturday starter for Clemson as a freshman. It is massively impressive.
Did you see what the freshman at Florida Atlantic did? Maybe the most impressive start to a career ever. Caleb Pendleton's his name, and his first 2 at-bats, he hit 2 Grand Slams.
Wow.
2 Grand Slams. Gets number 24 UCF.
I almost feel bad for the kid.
Because he'll never live up to his first inning of his first game. Yeah.
Where do you go from there? Like, there's just absolutely nowhere to go. Chris says, just glad to see the Gamecocks beat teams they're supposed to beat. And that's exactly what happened, I think, especially yesterday. When you had games 1 and 2 and your bats came out as hot as they did and you get comfortable and you kind of roll through, that's one thing. But then to be challenged in the games in the balance late and to come up with a big 2-out hit like Khalil did and to add to it and see your pitchers come in really tight situations and come through. A lot to be encouraged about. I'm just trying to say that you don't want to go too far just because it's one series and it's Dayton. Other things to speak about as we kick off the second half of the program here, and we're glad you're with us on the early game, and Bill will be back relatively soon. But from a football perspective, there was actual football going on this weekend. I saw Furman took care of business in their first game. That's what reminded me that there was actually football this weekend. And then from a national perspective, there were 2 things and 2 big names in the news. Cam Newton with a video interaction or an interaction caught on video. I guess he was holding the camp in Myrtle Beach, and one of the campers was mouthing off to him. And then Deion Sanders also in the news. We'll let you hear what Deion had to say in just a second, coaching in his first college football game, the head coach of Jackson State. First, wanted to get your take on this Cam Newton thing. Somebody hit us up a little bit earlier asking specifically, I think on the live stream, your take, Patrick. So what did you think? Cam Newton getting some grief from a high school kid, I think, in a camp, and then I think he gave it back a little bit, and it was all caught on video and a social media stir.
I mean, it just made everybody look bad. First of all, I cannot believe a kid. First of all, the kid was saying, you're a free agent, and Cam's response was, I'm rich. And the kid said, you're a free agent, and he said, I'm rich. And he said, well, you're about to be poor because you're a free agent. So, first of all, Cam Newton even giving that kid the time of day is just crazy. Like, you're a high school kid at my camp. You're at my camp with my name on it, and you came here because I'm Cam Newton. And, like, what is that kid possibly thinking? Like, does he go to school tomorrow and his friends are all like, hey, I saw that video of you giving Cam Newton the business. That was awesome, buddy. Like, is that how the interaction's going to go today? Because the kid's just the biggest jerk in the world. Like, how can that possibly be allowed? I just don't understand it at all. And to Cam Newton, of all people, like, Cam Newton is known, say what you want about his outfits and the way he behaves on the field. I mean, he's known to be one of the best community guys in the NFL. Like, he always runs camps around, was always doing that around Charlotte and always giving back to the kids. So for one kid to just think that this was his time and he's gonna show everybody, I don't know. I really don't understand what his goal was. Like, if he actually is just a jerk or if something went down before that and Cam coached him hard or something, he didn't run hard in a route or something along those lines and it led to that, but it was just ridiculous.
Travis, appreciate a little extra insight. He says this camp wasn't a normal football camp. It was more tryouts for his 7-on-7 team. Cam Newton, you mentioned the community involvement, and he's always done this. Had 7-on-7 teams, typically in the Atlanta area, but maybe branching out or just having these guys be a part of that thing, the traveling deal. I mean, maybe it's some weird, like, this is going to show him my competitive edge or something like that. But it just came across as completely disrespectful, right? And If I'm Cam Newton, here's how I handle that. I hear that. I talk to whoever is actually running the on-field thing. Say, don't put that down. And if he keeps doing it, just
kick him out of the whole tryout.
Pay him no mind. I guess if we're going to really get on an old man soapbox, be like, kids these days and no respect and the whole thing. Yeah,
I would fully expect to get kicked out of camp if I did that to an adult.
But his response, though, is what makes Cam Newton such a polarizing figure, I think, though, right? Saying, I'm rich. What? Well, so just by responding to that, you're automatically throwing yourself down to the 16-year-old range, right? I'm guessing that kid's right around 16. And you're getting it, you're immediately flinging mud back at him. Basically justified him in doing it, or that's why I've never considered myself a Cam fan. Tremendous play. And watching him on the field against the Gamecocks in the SEC championship and then go on to win the national championship and the Heisman deal, and best player on the planet when he took the Panthers to the Super Bowl 5-6 years ago. But also comes with we were talking about Don Staley's competitive edge and the best to ever do it. I guess it's one of those things where I just can't comprehend. That's where I'm going to chalk it up to. But wow, what an interesting interaction.
Maybe it just shows that he's very sensitive about this particular issue. Like he sees the end of the tunnel and he's like, all these quarterbacks are getting picked up. It doesn't seem like there's a good fit for me. I really don't want to be a backup. Is there going to be a spot for me next year? And the kid just brought up his biggest insecurity in the world, and he just couldn't resist.
Maybe. That's so weird. It was a different situation for Deion Sanders, no doubt. Deion's been known to call out people, and certainly for his brash attitude back in the day. Now, being a head college football coach, going to be interesting to see how he handles it. I believe Jackson State had absolutely no problem. I think they played Edward Waters or something that's typically not the FCS type level opponent, so they didn't have any problems on the field. It was off the field where Deion was making some headlines more than anything over the weekend. Here's some of what he had to say after his first head coaching game as Jackson State's head coach.
Kids played really well. The guys presented the game ball. The best moments I've ever had in my professional sports career emotionally. And then you go into your locker room, your coach's office to digress, and you notice that you don't have a phone. I had mixed emotions. One, while the game was going on, somebody came in and stole every darn thing I had in my locker room, in the coach's office. Credit cards, wallet, watches. Thank God I had on my necklaces.
That's a great way to stop.
You couldn't script a more Deion Sanders soundbite than that. Well, Deion Sanders' first college coaching post-game interview. Thank goodness I had all my necklaces. Because everybody who remembers Deion as primetime back in the day of Florida State when they're playing the Gamecocks in the mid-'80s and the whole thing. Wow. Bill, did we get a conclusion on this story? I know you were monitoring this thing for us a little earlier. So I saw the social media post, and then I saw somebody post that, he got his stuff back, and now you're saying that he did not get his stuff back, or what's the deal there? Do you have a conclusion for us?
All right. This is from Pro Football Talk. Mike Florio is the person who wrote this. This is 10 hours ago. This is the latest I've seen. Let me read you verbatim what it says. After Jackson State trounced Edward Waters College on Sunday 53-0, Sanders claimed all of his belongings were stolen from the team's locker room during the game. School officials then said the items were simply misplaced and that they had been moved for safekeeping before being returned to Sanders. Sanders then replied again and explained that a staff member walked in on the theft being committed, but she couldn't fight a dude off. Then a Jackson State spokesperson said that the school will no longer comment on the incident involving Deion Sanders' belongings. You guys want to keep up with that one again?
So,
Unbelievable.
wow. So the school is just trying to cover it up and be like, nothing happened.
I don't know.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Deion versus Jackson State administration.
Well, this was part of my thinking when Dion got the head coaching job. Like, I don't know how this is going to work out, man. You have to have a certain mindset to be a head coach and run a college football program, and it does concern the PR aspect and presenting your program in a certain light. And I don't know if Dion is up for that thing. And here in game number 1, we're already seeing this. Unbelievable.
Oh, Jackson State's a big school, right? Like, I understand some FCS schools are really small and you don't have security, and it's like a high school game where anybody can just sneak out and go into the locker room and take whatever they want. But isn't Jackson State like big and has a nice stadium and should have all the necessary safety precautions or security measures?
Been down there, played in an AAU tournament way back in the day in Jackson, Mississippi. So been down there. Pretty nice campus. Yeah, it's not a podunk campus at all. But wow, you can't. I could not come up with 2 stranger stories from football than Deion Sanders maybe having his stuff stolen. The university says maybe not after his first career game as a college head coach, and Cam Newton at his own 7-on-7 tryout camp getting into a trash talking.
Yeah, have you seen
contest?
I don't know what you guys were talking about that. I was listening. There's a second video that Cam put up on his Instagram account of I think it's Cam's. I had it sent to me late last night, and it's Cam in the huddle with the kid trying to kind of like talk to the kid. I know that. Well, yeah, sure, resolve. Let's go with that. I don't know if it was the same camp. I know Travis on the stream said it was a tryout. They had a 7-on-7 camp, like kids from Alabama, kids from all over came to this camp. I don't know if it was a tryout or if it was just a weekend camp that was going on that Cam was a part of. There was a particular camp. I know John Del Bianco from the Big Spur was down there covering it, covering South Carolina targets in particular. And that's how I kind of knew about it. I was following a little bit just on the Big Spur and keeping up with some of the updates. Antonio Williams, the big-time wide receiver out of Dutch Fork, was down there, and as well as a few other players. So I don't know what was going on, but the second video is kind of like, it's not much better for Cam. It does at least look like in his own Cam way of doing things, he's trying to explain to the kid, hey, that's not how we act, and it still doesn't necessarily come across the right way. So well, Patrick asked, like, how did it start? It sounds like in the second video that the kid is upset that Cam was not coming to watch him, if that makes sense. Like, not coming over to watch their particular 7-on-7 team. And Cam even asks him, hey, what did you do on the field today? What did you do? Why should I come watch? This kid's team went 1-2 in games. And Cam's like, well, what did you do? And the kid, like, basically didn't have an answer. I get the feeling he did nothing. And it kind of, so I don't know if something happened prior to the initial Instagram video that came out that led this kid to be just upset and start chirping at Cam. And, unfortunately, Cam Newton just doesn't know how to not talk back. But that's kind of the way it seemed to come across to me. And I'm with you. I think as a professional athlete, as Cam Newton, you got to there's 2 different ways. You pull the young man to the side. You try to make sure that there's no cameras or something. You say, look, that's not how we handle things around here. But maybe Cam saw it as an opportunity to talk a little trash. And right now, when you don't have any other teammates to talk with, may as well pick out a 16-year-old kid and talk a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you either kick the kid out and say, hey, if your mom wants a refund, tell her to come find me and I'll write you the check personally. Or you say, take off your jersey and cleats and just take a knee and you're not playing for the rest of the day. It's that simple.
Yeah, Patrick, I just
the
sent
kid's
you this.
Done.
I just sent you. I sent you a text message. The second Instagram video, you can watch it. Patrick understands that better than I do. the Instagram kids. But I, and the other thing is you hear Cam saying, "Where's your father? Let me talk to your father." Like, I don't know if that meant you wanted to talk to a grown adult, or let me talk to your father. Have you escorted out of here?
Yeah.
It's not either way, not a particularly good look. The kid definitely comes across as just a punk. I mean, like this is a kid that's clearly just reaching for his 5 minutes of fame. And Patrick, you said, how was his reaction to school day? Oh, I guarantee he's walking around. Yeah, you see me on the Instagram video? I'm the one that did that. I'm the one that put Cam in his place.
Unbelievable. Good time to take a quick break. 803-404-6100. Back to plenty more Gamecock baseball sound in reaction to the big sweep over Dayton when we come right back. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. I don't know exactly how to put the weekend when it comes to what happened around my house. The usual stuff. We got birthday parties now. They're turning 6 and 8. The older ones, the younger ones still waddling around, not quite 1 year old, and so there's always cleanup around all over the place. I forget how many it was. Was this weekend really only 2 days? I'm digressing. I need to let you guys know how we try to keep it under control at my house. One of the ways is we get some professional help in multiple ways, but especially with our carpets. Zero Res carpet and air duct cleanings come out to my house a couple of times, clean my carpets, clean an area rug for me, the tiles in both the kitchen and bathroom. Done a great job, giving us great results, impressed my wife in the process. Not necessarily easy to do. Also, they do it differently than anybody else. We had nothing to worry about when it comes to harsh chemicals involved in their cleaning process because it doesn't exist. They have a patented powered water process, no leftover soapy residue either. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Yours can as well. And not just at your home if you're in charge of a business. The commercial cleaning division there at Zero Res, working day and night, businesses all over the Midlands, following all the CDC guidelines in the cleaning and sanitizing process, making sure everyone is as safe and clean as possible. And right now you can get a great deal with Zero Res. 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $109 when you mention me, Tim Hill. Schedule that Zero Res cleaning today. Give them a call at 803-262-4020. That's 262-4020, or book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. It's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Where did Bill go this time? He just got back. He's gone. He didn't want to listen to Zero Res? Are you kidding me? And now Patrick's muting too? Unbelievable. You guys really just leaving us hung up.
I'm watching the video Bill sent me.
So you're being professional. My apologies. Well done. And Bill's just getting breakfast.
Cam was talking to the kid, but then the other coaches were like trying to explain to the kid. Cam was still kind of arguing with the kid, but the other coaches were trying to explain, like, basically, it's in simplest terms, you don't disrespect a coach like that. And Cam's like cutting off the other coaches from talking to the kid.
Because he wants to talk.
Somebody be an adult, please. Like,
classic.
Like I said, it's like Cam's way of trying to deal with it, but not the way that it should be dealt with. Like,
yeah.
If he's in a battle of wits, he isn't going to win.
Cam?
Yeah.
Like the 3 people you deal with on this show on a daily basis?
Was going to go there, but,
I think he's a smart dude. You start talking trash. I mean, I don't I mean, that'd be like you at a radio thing, and and you're a producer, and some kid starts telling you like, "Oh, where do you work? What do you do?" Like, knowing your smart mouth, you aren't going to be the one that's like, "All right, I'm just going to walk away from this." There'd be a fish put in the back of his pants or something, or some kind of prank pulled on him.
No, actually, you get the little travel things of powder. You get the powder out, and then you put water in it. That way, it's just never mind. Anyway.
Exactly.
He's doing a good thing. Like, he's coaching. He's volunteer coaching, and this is what happens. Like,
it's what I've always said about Cam Newton. Like, I think there's something in him that is kind of his own worst enemy in a lot of ways. Like, Exactly, Patrick. Like, doing a good thing. And yet I still can't pull for him. I still don't like him.
Yep. What an amazing piece of production this is. Gotta tell you.
Is this better than when you messed up on my way home and it started the old timey clip, but then cut? Y'all came back in.
I thought I would have it all produced by then, so I just moved it to the end of the stop set. Should have just put it to this one. That's why it's good my mic was muted in here at that time.
That was Do You Believe in Miracles, right? The hockey deal?
Yeah.
Good time to talk about your hockey fiasco, Patrick.
Cool.
But Jen, I promised some baseball sound coming back, so we need to do that.
What was the hockey fiasco?
Oh, we'll talk about it on the air. I thought you were plugged in. I thought you were a hockey guy.
That's what I'm saying. What did I miss?
Jen, let's do number 6 coming back, and then we'll clue Bill in.
Well, Bill, the one hockey thing you missed was having pucks along with you. Still haven't gotten that done yet.
What?
One thing that you have missed is having pucks slung at you at USC. That's one hockey thing you've missed.
You have missed that.
I clearly have to completely do that on my own. You're right. So how many points ahead of you am I ahead of you in the NASCAR standings right now?
It's more than one that I could signal to you right now. 5.
It's more than 2. You can't even use 2 fingers, huh?
I've got at least one.
Morning, Hope.
It's actually 7, 6, 5, and 2. You have 7. Reggie has 6. Carrie 5, and I have 2.
Oh, he's still winning. Unbelievable.
You know.
Well, I finished second, so yeah, I'm up. Yeah.
Well, you were fortunate that Chase Elliott hit on some bad luck because he was destined to win that race, and just bad call.
Yeah, it's the way I feel too. I was destined to be 6'3" or 6'4". I just had some bad luck along the way and ended up at 5'7".
That's because you're a pork chop. It's done your growth.
It's just bad luck. It was just bad luck. I was destined.
All right, cut 6 coming back in.
Helps when you unmute the mic. George Khalil going to bring us back here. Little Australian accent.
Try and turn it up.
And we'll give Patrick some grief.
I think it's been a long 8 months working together, or we've had a lot of time away from the game, and we've kind of bonded over that, and we've been working hard, and I think the results show this past weekend that we have the talent to be one of the top teams in the country this year, and we just have to continue to trust ourselves and take it each game at the end of the time.
George Khalil, the Carolina shortstop, Australian native, getting in that classic American baseball cliche at the end there, but I think what Gamecock fans focus on, one of the best teams in the country. That's music to Carolina fans' ears, and so is a sweep over Dayton, which you saw over the weekend. 5-1. Khalil coming up big in the bottom of the 8th with a 1-1 tie yesterday and getting the eventual game-winning run in. The Carolina would unload the bases a little while later, get a little bit more comfortable down the stretch there, and it was dominating performance, 12-1 and 12-5 in the first 2 games. Patrick, in that break, we heard the old-timey clip of the day from the Miracle on Ice. Why can't hockey figure it out? They had a great setting there in Lake Tahoe, and then they didn't account for the sun.
They did figure it out. They played again at midnight.
Brilliant.
They did, and they played a game yesterday.
Yeah, I watched the one yesterday. I watched the one yesterday. It was really
good. A game, but it was. I mean, it was beautiful, and I actually liked the midnight hockey because you could barely see anything. You could see like a little bit of trees in the background. The lighting was really cool. It looked like just a bunch of guys hanging out on the lake outside their house playing pickup hockey.
So why didn't you play it on that? I mean, when the ice melts, it's not good for hockey. I'm no expert. Hour 3 coming up.
Clear.
So was yesterday's game supposed to be played earlier and it ended up getting moved to like 7:30 last night?
No, I thought they were both supposed to be. I thought they were supposed to be played Saturday and Sunday. You mean was it supposed to be played in the afternoon?
Yeah, yesterday's game.
Yeah,
was it supposed to be played earlier and then they moved it all the way back to like, I don't know, it was like 8 o'clock or 7.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be played in the afternoon.
The reason I say that is I drove back from Raleigh, then we had soccer. We had a soccer game, and then I had my grandmother over. We ordered some pizza, and I finally got kids to bed, so I laid down. I got in bed about 7:30, and I was like, hey, Flyers Bruins. So I flip over, and it's Mike Tirico, and they're doing it. I was like, wait a minute, is this like a rebroadcast of today's game? Why are they playing so late? I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll watch it. So I didn't know why it was on so late, but it was fun to watch. And then that one moron went into the water. Did you see that? The guy in the American flag Speedo?
No.
Was it hockey style?
Yeah. He was doing a polar bear plunge.
The first period of the Saturday game was one of the coolest things I've watched.
You mean before it was delayed?
The one period they played, yeah.
Classic.
I liked it last night. Like I said, that was what I watched last night. I was tired. I watched it till about the Bruins scored those 3 consecutive goals, bang, 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 in the second period, and I think when the second period ended, I cut it off.
I like watching the Lake Tahoe golf tournament. I like that more than PGA tournaments. I think it was Kyle Williams that won it this year, the defensive tackle for the Bills.
Oh, yeah? I didn't even know they had it this year. I didn't think they did.
Well, maybe it was – yeah, they had it this year, yeah. I think. Yeah, they did.
I know it's always maybe they just didn't have any fans there. I know it's always a fan-friendly kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I like seeing – because you never have any idea what other athletes or celebrities are good at golf, and then sometimes you just watch. Like watching Kyle Williams, I would have never in a million years guessed that the 330-pound nose tackle was just ridiculously good at golf. But it's cool to see.
It does seem like new information that you typically wouldn't have.
I mean, you hear rumors about guys that are really good at golf. I think normally it's like quarterbacks are good golf players. Hockey players are always really good at golf.
Wait, Patrick, was Brian telling us about 30 minutes ago? I'm just figuring this out. He was saying that that freshman hit grand slams in his first 2 plate appearances in the same inning?
Yeah, they're both in the first inning.
Holy crap. The odds of that, man.
Are not high.
I don't know if anybody's ever done that before. I guess you would have heard, but...
Wow, I'm going to look it up right now.
So I'm guessing with all this rain and what about, because it's going to rain today, but it's supposed to, everybody should be in a better mood. It's supposed to be actually like tomorrow and Wednesday is supposed to be in the 70s, low 70s. So I'm guessing with all this rain, everybody should be happier with the weather. But in what, about 3 weeks, everybody's going to be all ticked off because of the pollen. There's just going to be pollen everywhere.
Well, then you need to spark the feeling of gratitude and not complaining and not whining. It's like up to you.
I don't mind pollen. I'll be okay with it. I'd rather a bunch of pollen than 45-degree weather like we've had.
Let's see. Searching 2 grand slams, same inning. And 1 inning. Let's do that. Has there ever been? Fernando Tatis did it recently. Whoa. Fernando Tatis Sr., it looks like, did it in 1999.
Well, of course.
I didn't see that coming.
That's amazing.
Sounds like something we need to mention. So I'm sure, there was one college baseball player who hit 6 home runs in one game. Same game.
I did not know that. How about that information?
Yeah, that's good. I saw that in a tweet from Jamie Bradford down in Charleston, who put out a poll question. What will never happen again? 6 home runs in one game, or the 5 back-to-back like Carolina hit against Georgia back in the day as a team?
Yeah, those things just feel impossible. I mean, two grand slams, so many things have to happen for you to even have the opportunity to get up with the bases loaded twice.
But this thing that Pendleton did, true freshman, first 2 plate appearances, unreal. Let's come in with Kingston again, please. Thank you. All right, the old sports flash is done.
Yep. Oh, Bill, they've already gotten the assignment of what the colors are going to be for this weekend. For the baseball weekend. So I know you're all in.
What'd you say?
They've already gotten the assignment as far as what the hats are going to be for this weekend for the baseball series. I know you're always worried about the fashion of all the different teams.
Oh, they've already put out their uniforms?
Mm-hmm. Looks like
I'm going to need that along with the traffic up and the weather update this hour.
Okay. I'm on that for you.
Now it's a chance to exhale a little bit. It was 9 months.
Hotting you guys up.
As Bill stretches, we kick off hour number 3 with Mark Kingston, encouraging everybody to exhale, and doing it with 3 straight wins to start the 2021 baseball season is exactly what Gamecock fans wanted/needed, and I would add probably were desperate for in a lot of ways. Welcome into hour number 3 here in the early game. Tim, Bill, Patrick, and Jen all with you this morning. Jen holding things down in the Herndon Chevrolet Studios in downtown Columbia. I'm sitting in my garage. Patrick is in his apartment that has been called the Frozen Tundra apartment because he doesn't turn on his heat. And Bill sitting in his sunroom right off the beautiful shores of Lake Murray. Live stream on video, sponsored by Buford Lending. You can catch us YouTube Live, Facebook Live. We're up and rolling on Twitter at the station handle @1075 The Game. Happy you are with us, and I know a lot of you are happy that the Gamecocks took care of business over the weekend and crushed Dayton in the first couple of games, 12-1, 12-5, and then yesterday it was 1-1 in the bottom of the 8th, where George Khalil comes up with a big 2-strike, 2-out hit, I believe, and Carolina takes the lead, ends up winning relatively comfortable 5-1. Bill, what do you take away from a first weekend of baseball, a sweep against State?
Not much. I mean, not much. You obviously, if we can get this series in this weekend, looks like the rain around the state may be a bit of an issue. But I don't know. We've seen it in the past. They did sweep. That's all you can ask them to do. West Clark continues to look like Patrick, would you call him a house, a mansion?
Yeah, he's a house.
Yeah, he continue. They
A
continue.
mansion's
Well, he's bigger
not a
than
thing, is it?
He's bigger than a house. He's
Calls anybody
freaking
a
balls
mansion?
left and right. Barely keeping the cover on him. You're right. Pitching did seem sound. It'd be interesting to see Bostic went 3 2/3. Is that right? 3 1/3 without looking at it.
Bostic 3 1/3 yesterday, had to leave because of a blister, but did set the school record in route with 8 straight strikeouts. Unbelievable.
So there's certainly a lot of things to be very positive about, but South Carolina baseball is not built upon sweeping the opening weekend series. I think people are probably more excited about it because it's been some pretty dark months for Carolina athletics, and this was a ray of sunshine. I know it was cold, but at least you also did get sunshine, which probably helped tremendously as well. So everybody in a better mood this morning, but certainly for Mark Kingston, a monster series, because I can tell you what, a week from today, if South Carolina loses 2 of 3, all those good vibes are out the door, and people are going to be pretty upset if they drop 2 of 3 to Clemson with Texas on deck.
Well, first up will be Winthrop tomorrow, 4 o'clock.
Oh, well.
And 3:45 airtime, and then the big 3-game series against Clemson. It's at Clemson on Friday, and then up in Greenville at Ford Field on Saturday, Sunday. Scheduled to be right back at Founders Park for the series finale in Columbia. And Clemson also sweeping over the weekend. They swept Cincinnati, not nearly as gaudy offensive numbers. They won 5-0, 5-2, and then yesterday in a walk-off in the 10th inning, 8-7 against Cincinnati. And college baseball at large, Bill, you said you got into a little Florida and Miami. I think that was the national headlining series. It was an SEC Big 12 tournament, I think, going on out in Texas. That was another national headliner where the SEC teams, it was Arkansas and Ole Miss, I think, both going 2-0 in that thing against Texas and Texas Tech. Another national type college baseball story, but it was an individual effort that really is boggling our minds this morning that Patrick brought our attention to. It was a freshman. What was the freshman kid's name? You got it off the top of your head there, Patrick?
Caleb Pendleton.
Florida Atlantic, freshman. First 2 at-bats. 1 inning, grand slams. First 2 college at-bats in 1 inning, grand slams. And so, Patrick, you followed the logic. Anybody ever done that in baseball? And I looked it up, and I saw quickly Fernando Tatis has done it. I was like, oh, yeah, this must have been recently. What had happened last year, and I just mentioned it, and I just missed it. It wasn't Fernando Tatis who just signed the 14-year, $340 million deal. That's Fernando Tatis Jr. It was his dad who did it in 1999 in the major leagues. The only guy, I think, in the major leagues that has hit 2 grand slams in 1 inning. At least that's what popped up for.
Was he a good player?
Got to the
I've
major
never heard
leagues.
of him.
Nowhere near where his son is, obviously, when you're talking
because
about.
you heard what happened to his son that's making headlines now with the investment company?
Yeah, that they fronted him some money back in the day.
Yeah.
And what's
So now
the
he owes
number?
$30 million.
10%? Is that what he owed him?
$30 million. So if that was a great player, I wouldn't have thought that he would need that much money advanced. But I mean, that's
Right. His
I think
dad you're
it's
talking about.
a lot of it's a pretty controversial situation.
No doubt, man. Yeah, I see some litigation in the future in both of those. Are we officially nicknaming Wes Clark the Biltmore? Trey hits us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text
I
line.
like that.
That's pretty good. Trey, wow, shot. Patrick, you've recently visited, I believe, the Biltmore house. Is that correct?
I spent a good 12 hours there one day, it felt like. We covered every square foot of that building.
So
Wait, did you cover? Was it that or did mom? Because I remember you explaining that story.
Yeah, no, we went for a weekend in Asheville, the whole family, and my mom and sister were really into the Biltmore, and my dad and I were more so thinking, hey, a bunch of breweries over there, just a couple minutes away, maybe we could go check those out. But no, we stayed all day, went to the winery and everything.
So that is an interesting insight into family dynamics, because my family, My dad, they're out of there. We're good. I mean,
That was
we're
my mom's
the
birthday. It was my mom's birthday.
same. Still,
There was no.
my mom likes her space. We'll give her that gift on the birthday. We're right over there. We're on the property. We'll meet you.
Yeah,
we'll
we're
meet you right back there.
Yeah.
No, we wanted to leave the whole Biltmore property.
Okay.
We were
Was that
hoping
the
to
problem?
go to Asheville. Yeah.
My dad and I would have. They had the wines there. They had the winery there at the Biltmore house, right?
That's what we were waiting for.
No,
So you could-
but that's not leaving the property.
I've never been to the Biltmore. Is that you can stay on the property? There's like a little bar with
You
television.
can stay, but yeah, they have a winery. They have like a farm. They have all sorts of stuff. I mean, the Biltmore. We found out the Biltmore wine is the most sold wine in America, or the most visited winery in America, or something like that.
A lot of guys whose wives
I'm
are taking
thinking,
tours.
yeah.
The guys are like, oh, okay.
Did you guys hear about Bill snuck in there? A bar with TVs.
Oh, I would look.
No bar with
If-
TVs.
There's no bar with TVs. Oh, that's not my. I can't do that.
What
No.
they didn't have TVs back then.
It was a constable Saturday.
Yeah, I remember you
Yeah,
going. I remember the
oh.
discussion. Because I can guarantee you, if there's a television in the place, I'm going to get the remote.
Yeah.
And
That
Bill,
doesn't
you,
surprise me.
you know you sound so old with that, right? You got a phone now. Just pop it up with the phone, right?
See, what I'm
Is it-
thinking is happening on like a game Saturday. If you're forced to be there in the tour, so it's like, oh yeah, I'll take the headphones, but you really have the headphones in listening to the game, not the tour.
No.
So
if, on something like that, you're right about the phone. I've used the phone a few times, but no, all I'm saying, the phone is the last resort if there are no television. But if there's one television in the place, the odds of me defeating everybody else for the remote and control of the television in a bar or winery, I'm going to win that.
It's not going to last, though. The phone's not going to last.
Exactly.
We got there at like 8 or 9 or something like that. We're there till dinner time, so
that is a long time.
it was a long day.
A lot of wine.
No.
For some reason, Chris wants to know how many were in attendance at the games this weekend. It was limited to right around 2,100, I think, at Founders Park, and it looked like it was right near that. I know it looked like a lot of people were happy to be out in the sunshine, and certainly happy to see the Gamecocks dominate for most of the weekend and then pull it out yesterday when it was tied at 1 in the 8th inning. And why don't they play a game at the Firefly Stadium? Well, you know, they did that with the Clemson series. I believe that was just last year, right? I think you talk about a lot of economic concerns and all of that. That's an interesting couple of questions there from Chris to start out hour number 3. And then Anonymous Raj wanted to point out he's upping our baseball nerddom, saying that Fernando Tatis hit his 2 grand slams in the same inning back in 1999, 1 from each side of the plate.
Well, is that true? He actually did that?
Why would he make that up? You looking for confirmation? You're not believing Anonymous Raj? Is that what you're saying?
It's just nuts.
Absolutely.
And John just invented pre-gaming. Next line.
I'm sorry?
Just
No.
John.
Help me out. You go before
brewery
the tour,
or water
right?
before the tour.
I feel like that's a bad. I feel like based on the length of this tour, you're telling me
Right.
that that's a bad decision. Like
Breweries
there's
aren't
nothing-
open at 9 a.m., so.
And especially with knowing the intent was for your mom's birthday, like, you don't want your mom having to wrangle in dad and son when they were doing too much pre-gaming before the Biltmore House tour. But maybe a nickname has been done. And yes, Jim, on the live stream, Bill, do you actually spell your full name William with 1 L? No, it doesn't.
No,
It's all part of the mystery. Bill William. Unbelievable. Gamecock basketball over the weekend. Need to touch on that as well. Frank Martin says he can write a book now. Bill, did you hear the Frank Martin clip that we played in the brief absence?
About the 4 fouls?
Actually, yeah. And
Yeah.
So if you did, we should play that again. Let's play that again. And we haven't gotten your take on this thing because this is absolutely mystifying. Frank Martin and a bit of an interaction with one of his guys.
I can explain it real quickly here in a second.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're here to straighten this out. Yeah, Jim, this is about a player doing something that Frank Martin had never seen before, or in a what ended up being a 15-point loss over the weekend to Missouri. That is the 5th loss in a row for Gamecock men's basketball. And yeah, it is something else. Let's hear it.
I had something today for the first time. I had a player tell me from report that they have 4 fouls. I've never I've never had anyone ever say to me, "Hey, I got 4 fouls." It's this whole year has just been the stuff that has happened has just been incredible. It's just every day I go home and it's a new story. I could write a book just on this season.
You can see it in the Zoom post-game comments, just the posture and the whole thing, and you can hear it in the voice, the frustration. But Bill, your explanation for why that would ever happen?
I mean, Frank pulls guys out very quickly with 2 fouls. I feel like this was a player looking out for Frank, be like, "Hey, buddy, I got 4. Shouldn't I, according to how everything else gets handled, shouldn't I be over there with you right now? Like, I don't want you to be upset with me for not telling you. Like, I mean, go back to."
That's the explanation.
Go back to, in all honesty, I'm joking.
That's the explanation. The point is the player should be thinking.
I'm joking slightly.
Wiping his brow, say, "Ooh, Frank hasn't noticed yet. Thankfully, I get a couple more minutes of playing time."
I'm joking slightly, but the guys are pretty accustomed to, like, especially in the first half, because was it Mississippi State a week ago?
Tennessee game, AJ
Lawson gets the second foul, and you had to leave him in without Cousinard, without Minaya, and he gets pulled, and Tennessee goes on the big run. Players, I think, are used to that, man. I don't think that this is the weird thing about listening to what Frank Martin's saying about guys who can't run a play coming out of a huddle, who aren't. How did he describe it earlier? We'd have to go back and play that clip. Who are friendly? The team seems like they're friendly with one another. This doesn't seem like a bad locker room.
But they don't trust each other, or they're not there for each other on the court. I think is kind of his gist early.
Yeah, and this sounds like a situation of a player being like scared, be like, I don't want Frank to be mad at me for not telling him I had 4 fouls. Like, I'm supposed to know what's going on in the game. Like, it just seems like a team that honestly, it seems like a team who doesn't have a backbone. It seems like a team who, when things get tough, they just cower down. And in this situation, I got 4 fouls. Better go sit over there with Frank. Don't want to get 5 and get yelled at. Yeah, exactly. You can't.
It sounds like a player that didn't want to play.
Exactly what it sounds like.
Didn't you narrow it down to one guy?
Well, there's only one player that had 4 fouls.
Okay.
And he plays the position that the other team's best player also plays, and was getting his lunch handed to him all day long. So sounds like a player that was just tapped out.
I don't understand that. I guess maybe in frustration, you put your hand up and say, take me out, basically is what you're saying. We've seen guys say, take me out, right?
Yeah.
But Frank has just never, I'm guessing that's happened in Frank's career before, but never given the old, I have 4 fouls, you need to take me out because that's the right coaching move.
Well, wait a minute. Now, don't put words in his mouth. Did he say, hey, I got 4, I need to come out, or was he just looking at the bench going, Coach, I got 4? Like, did he say the words, you need to take me out?
That's translating, Bill. I am translating. The only reason you would tell your coach you have 4 fouls is because you think that's the right move for him to take you out of the game.
Just helping him. Guys.
Helping him. Unbelievable analysis.
A lot going on in the game.
Just wait till the next time Jeremiah Tillman posts up and grab his jersey or throw him to the ground or something and just say, "Hey, Coach, that's 5, I'm out."
You could have gotten it. You could have gotten your point across a lot easier by just smacking him next time you hit the ball and picking up a foul number 5 and head one out.
Just argue the 4th foul and get a technical and foul yourself out.
But the reason Frank went out of his way to point that out in the post-game press conference is because it's mind-boggling for him the way he wants his players to think. And he also mentioned that his teams have never gotten out of the way. In 35 years of coaching, his team's never gotten out of the way until this year.
Oh, no.
That is part of that mindset. Hey, I need to come out of the game now. It should never be part of your mindset as a player. It's the opposite.
You would agree. I go back to Will Muschamp's first year when the football team wasn't very good, and it felt like Muschamp was trying to be positive with them because he just knew it wasn't very good. And then I think, was it like in one of his first press conferences, either in the spring or in the fall, he basically, those guys weren't very physical at all. You remember that press conference? I know you and I were sitting in there in the room. We kind of brought it up and like, that's the first time I've heard him be kind of negative about his first football team. Do you know what I'm talking about? Can you remember back to
Yes,
that?
absolutely.
The reason I bring that up is because I think as we become removed, you're hearing it more from Frank Martin. I think Frank Martin right now is doing that thing where he knows it's been a tough season on the kids. You've had a lot of COVID issues. You've had guys who've been sick. The easiest thing in the world would have been to opt out. but it's becoming so annoying to Frank Martin that some of the things that are happening, he's starting to kind of mention. I feel like it's going to be one of those things where as we get into the offseason and as we come to next year, you're going to hear Frank reminisce on this season, and it won't be as kind or as friendly because those issues will be in the past. Does that make sense?
I guess, but he also bears some
I feel like he's heading
responsibility.
that way. I feel like he's heading that way now. It's starting. He's trying to. I get where he's kind of coming from with, hey, it's been a long season. I don't want to show up at a press conference. Because Frank Martin's never been a guy to hold back on a player or his team in a press conference, right? Like,
Sure, no doubt.
I feel like he's gone out of his way to not be that guy in a press conference that just goes in and just shreds his team to get his message across. But it also is starting to feel he's edging that way with 3 games to go. He's starting to point out the deficiencies in his team. And I feel like as we become further removed from them and some of these guys either become mentally tougher or depart and go elsewhere, you're going to hear more comments about how this team, for whatever reason, mentally couldn't handle this season.
Tony joins us now on the Love Chevy phone line, says he's at the game on Saturday. Morning, Tony. Good. We might have lost Tony there on the line. And there you go.
There he is.
Appreciate the phone call, Tony, and I think he would admit right now he's not gelling with this team for sure. I got to give A.J. Lawson a little bit more credit for being a pretty good three-point shooter this year and pretty consistent. I think he's made 3 or more a bunch of times in a game, and he had 22 again on Saturday. It's just that he shot 5 of 16 for the game, 4 of 11 from 3. So I understand how you can come to that conclusion as well, Tony. And I don't think a lot of people are going to argue about just the pieces just not fitting together in this year's basketball team.
Let me real quick. Do you guys, not statistically, but what you've seen with your own eyes over 2 years? I know you didn't play on Saturday. Is Jermaine Cousinard, do you think, a good 3-point shooter?
No.
Okay. Let's see. This year obviously is awful. 27%. Real quick, I wonder what he was. I thought he was a better shooter last year. I'm going to guess over 30. Yeah. I'm going to guess over last year from 3-point range. Okay, not tremendously. I'm actually surprised by this. I would have thought Cousinard was a better 3-point shooter. He was 29% from 3-point range last year. So for his career, he's 28%. That actually, having not looked at that statistic, I would have thought he was a better 3-point shooter last year. The only reason I was going to say that is because when I look at the rest of this team, there's a bunch of guys that I agree with what Tony, with what you guys are saying. There's not consistency from the perimeter. Cousinard and Lawson should have been those guys. Now I look at that percentage for Cousinard because I know he didn't play Saturday, so I feel bad kind of dogging on him. But if we're looking at the full body of work, the regression for Jermaine Cousinard this year. Because remember, we dogged A.J. Lawson last year, and he basically had the same stats as his freshman year. And people were ripping him. Cousinard have gone down. He's a 10% worse shooter this year. 39% from the floor last year, 29% this year. 29% from 3-point range last year, 27% this year. Free throws this year, Cousinard 67% last year, 52%. It's all gone down for him.
No doubt. And the team has kind of followed. Unfortunately for the Gamecocks, 15-point loss to Mizzou, their 5th in a row. 3 games left in the regular season is where the Carolina men are. The USC women bouncing back and getting a big win against Kentucky, a big second half after having really struggled in the second half against Tennessee. Don Staley with an interesting comment. Want to let you hear that when we come back. We see you on the Love Chevy phone line. Want to talk a little bit more Gamecock basketball. We'll get into more Gamecock baseball discussion as well. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. We'll clear the way for Bill Gunter. Live spot.
Jen, am I good for the day, or do I have anything else?
Oh, no live spot.
Jen?
Looks like she's poised for a traffic update, sir.
Okay, so I guess I'm good for it. Either that or I'm about to do 3 straight commercials here at the end of the show. Endorsements.
I can't believe you think that there is a legit explanation for giving Frank the 4 fingers. That is so weak.
Oh, I doubt. No, there's part of me that believes that. You think that player wants to get yelled at?
No, I think he didn't want to play.
Was it McCrary?
No, I have 4 fouls, right, Coach?
Was it McCrary?
No, it was Levesque.
Because somebody hit us up on the text message saying that they saw Levesque holding up 4 fingers at the foul line.
Because it was Levesque.
That's who it was. Nobody said it was
Oh, I thought
McCrary.
you said McCrary. At one point on my way back, you said McCrary had 4 fouls.
Patrick was showing some professional discretion and not naming the kid.
Hey, Bill.
I didn't say the name McCrary at any point today.
You what, Jen?
We have a sleep number at 8:40, so we'll do the break and then we have the 40, and that's it. So sleep number at 8:40. I forgot to tell you. Sorry about that. I failed you. I should probably go home.
No, you said Jalen McCrary was covering Tillman, and he was having his lunch handed to him all day long on my way back. That's why I thought it was McCrary.
Didn't say the name McCrary.
I didn't hear the name McCrary.
Yeah, it can't be talked about because there's so much shotgun eye stuff, but the Panthers cleaned house over the weekend, cut like 3 guys, opened up $12 million in cap space, paving the way for Deshaun Watson rumors.
For sure.
I'll be pretty pumped up if they do some massive trade involving a couple picks and like a Jeremy Chin, Derek Brown, maybe. I don't know.
Burns is the one that I've seen floated with Joe Person talking about that.
Because it's got to be, I mean.
Thank you, Jim. 1 foul from McCrary, Bill. 1 foul.
It can't be Derek Brown.
I'm going off what y'all are saying. I'm not.
Nobody said McCrary. I haven't mentioned his name. He did nothing notable, and I didn't even take note that he was on the court on Saturday. I did not mention his name. You heard something. Go ahead. Pull up this camera. I didn't say McCrary. We'll listen to the whole half hour. He could have not played, and I wouldn't have noticed.
We got into that bourbon, that Bowman brothers. So, and then we went to. They live on 12 Oaks golf course up there. And we ended up. They had the course closed, but we ended up at their little bar there for a little while.
Got about a minute left.
Thank you. I'll do a quick liner, Jim. Then we'd like to do the Don Staley one.
I think I'm doing sleep number going into the break.
Yeah, you're right.
No.
My bad.
Jen, sleep number going into the break?
No,
Or going
break.
in? Next break.
The next one.
Sheree says Chin not available. Brian Burns is available. Brian Burns is definitely available because he's going to be due for a big contract soon that is going to be overvalued. So that would actually be a good preemptive move. But if they make you give up both, what are you going to do? Not get Deshaun.
They ain't getting rid of Chin. They're not putting Chin out there. Oh, I get a bingo.
Yeah. Not getting Deshaun Watson for the sole purpose of not giving up Jeremy Chin, though, would be
ridiculous. So.
Kind of ridiculous, yeah. Chin is awesome. But that's why Texans would probably want him.
Is that what the Texans are doing these days? They're trying to get awesome?
Jeremy Chin and Zach Cunningham in the linebacking group would be pretty fun in Houston, though.
Thank you. All right, so still just one call.
Okay, I want to do Liner and then Dawn Staley, then we'll do the call. Cool.
Very good. It's almost like it's an organized plan.
Would love your help this Wednesday. Blood drive in honor of National Heart Month right in downtown Columbia, 2751 Bull Street. The exact address from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The exact times. Pre-registration, rapid pass preferred. Walk-ins are welcome. More information on 1075thegame.com. I want to let you hear a little bit more from Dawn Staley after her team's big win against a ranked Kentucky team that they absolutely crushed in the second half. Ended up winning it by 21 yesterday, bouncing back from that bad second half they had the game before at Tennessee. And Dawn Staley took notice of some criticism that popped up about her and her team after that from Gamecock fans expecting more and seeing that 31-game win streak come to an end on Thursday night and now starting a new win streak with Sunday's win.
Let's not fool ourselves into believing that, just because we lose a game, the bottom falls out for some people, some fans, or whoever. And some of those social media coaches, I always tell people that want to, tell us what we need to do. You can't just coach on game day. And you got to coach on, what's the day? Sunday. You got to coach on Friday after we lose. That's when you got to be a good coach. And not just Xing and Oing. You got to coach players and people. They're people first. They want to win. They want to do exactly what we're asking them to do. It just doesn't always turn out that way. If I was as fair weather as some people are with our team, we wouldn't be where we are.
Bill, you're nodding and shaking your head at the same time?
It just... Patrick's 25. I think Patrick's more accustomed to this than you and I are and Jen is in terms of having access to important people, to coaches. Like, it's amazing to me. I go back to growing up or even the 2000s. You couldn't, if there was a loss, how did you vent your anger? You called into a sports talk radio show or maybe you got on a message board. Coaches didn't listen to those. Or if they did, they didn't notice them as much. Now you have a direct line to the coach. Like any one of the people that's texting or tweeting in today, if you're upset with a loss, you can contact Frank Martin, Dawn Staley, Will Muschamp, Shane. You can contact. We had a president that it was 50-50. If you tweeted at him, he was going to respond. Think about that. There's never been anything like that. Eddie Fogler, Dave Odom, Brad Scott, go back to the coaches the last 20 years. And what social media has done, this isn't about Dawn Staley. This continues to just blow me away at times that coaches pay so much attention to social media. That thing, like your team's a top 5 team in the country. They lost a game. It happens. Dawn's a professional. She knows it. But that it gets to them. And that they'll respond in person. You can tweet Dawn Staley this morning. Now, and I say this, it's good and bad. There was a person, I think it was Tyler Lewis. I saw this put up the other day on Twitter, and I didn't know if it was Tyler Lewis who played basketball for NC State and then went to Butler and played and is coaching somewhere now. But when they were playing Tennessee, someone tweeted at Dawn and said, "Hey, I'm in town. You got 2 tickets for me at the game." They tweeted at her, and she was like, "Yeah, we'll call. Done." The amount of access you have, you the listener out there has to coaches now is incredible. And you can see the effect that it has. Like listening to Dawn there, the effect that losing the game didn't bother her. She understands that's part of the sport. You got to coach your girl. The people tweeting at her seem to bother her. And she brings it up in a press conference after they win by 20. It's amazing to me what social media is these days.
True.
you referenced that one a little bit earlier, that she did kind of respond to some social media noise saying, believe it or not, on Friday, that I still have my job. She said that was a joke and the whole thing. But we all know in every joke there's a little bit of truth. And I mentioned it earlier, Bill. This just shows you the competitive drive in someone as accomplished as Dawn Staley, probably the most accomplished player and coach in the history of women's basketball. How they react to things differently than the rest of us. I think it goes into the Cam Newton story. We were talking about it earlier, too. You can't become Dawn Staley without having that massive competitive edge. You can't become Cam Newton, I don't think, without his personality attached to it. And it's not always the ideal reaction that you get, right? But that is what drives these massively successful athletes and players and coaches beyond the marginal ones. And there are some. It's like I always say, well, Pete Rose didn't become the all-time hit king with a normal mindset, right? He's fanatical, addictive, you could say. And clearly it had negative impacts on his life. It's one of the reasons why he's not in the Hall of Fame. But I think we from the outside probably we just have no concept, I think, of how the mindset works to drive consistently these massive achievers, and then we see some of it on the other end. What, Patrick?
But there's no need to retweet it. It's kind of my point. Like, I was going to reference the text line, which we see every single text that is sent, and a lot of people say mean things about all of us every single day. If you tweet me something on Twitter and tell me I'm an idiot and I talk weird and I have bad takes, all these things, I see it 100% of the time. I just don't respond to it because I don't care to. So, like, Dawn has 100,000 followers. Like, she doesn't need to respond to everything. And if she tweets something out, most of the responses are going to be good. So from that circumstance, and then as soon as I said that, somebody said something mean about Phil. So,
but to my point, Patrick, she probably didn't need to go work on her crossover 100,000 times when it was already working in high school. Or Cam Newton didn't need to get back in the weight room when he was already the strongest guy.
I can see that tweet's motivating you. But there's also people that, like, they'll take note of the tweets or screenshot them or something and then look at that and be like, oh, that motivated me during my workout. But then retweeting it so that other people can see that it's, like, upsetting you, I think is a different thing altogether.
No doubt. That's what you were talking about, Cam Newton, going back at a 16-year-old kid or however old it is. But that is in him. That's who he is. That's part of the reason why he's gotten to where he's gotten to. That's just kind of my point there. I'm with you, though. I totally understand what you're saying. And, Patrick, I'm the one that said that Cam Newton should have never even batted an eye when a kid is coming at him. He should have gone to whoever's in charge of the drill and said, hey, get that kid out. You go talk to that guy. And you said, actually, Bill, I think you said that you saw another video where coaches were trying to talk to the kid and explain it, and Cam Newton's almost the one still instigating the deal.
Yeah, he's like cutting off the coach, telling him, "Hey, you don't need to speak rationally to the kid. We already settled it." He's like, "We're already good. We're already good. Don't even worry about it." And then, like, kind of continue jawing at him.
Amazing. But that's where these people are. That's where Michael Jordan clearly. I think it has been described as an insane competitive drive. It crosses the line. These massive achievers, it crosses the line. We probably don't see it as much as it does happen, even with the 21st century social media interaction and the whole thing, Bill. I think that's just, Jerry West is the other example I like to bring up if we're going to remove the generations. Like, this has always happened. Jerry West, I think this is his second wife that he's currently married to, and a book came out recently. She says he'll go a week and not talk to her for a week. And that's just part of who he is. This is not normal behavior, but you can't be a...
You don't know what his marriage is like. You don't know what his marriage is like. That might be a vacation for him.
That might be a vacation for her. I think it's kind of how it's been. I just say normal behavior. You don't act normally and get to achieve greatness. It's all tied together. And I think maybe some people do a better job of hiding that part of them. That was my point with the Tom Brady thing. apologizing text-wise to the Honey Badger and the whole thing. Don't apologize for being who you are, man. You have to be insane to get to the insane level that Tom Brady's got to. I mean, we know the diet and the workout and the whole thing. That is nuts.
Yeah, but look at his social media. He's kind of the perfect example of it because he just waits till the end of the year after winning a Super Bowl and then puts together a compilation video of everyone that said that he was washed up and just dunks on everybody after he's won a championship. Like, and people still get mad. I hear Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk is like Tom Brady's enemy #1 and just gets so mad every time Tom Brady dunks on one of his haters. It's like, this is so petty and this is beneath you, and like you just can't win.
Just jealous. He's the same deal as us, right? We get it every day, so it's just part of professional hazard. And the thin skin and combined with the competitive greatness is pretty amazing. And it's probably not even really, thin skin's not the right way to put it. It's just the reaction that it gets out of these people still at their level. I think is what's hard for us to understand.
But for stuff like that, like if someone's coming up to Dawn in the grocery store or while she's having dinner and saying that stuff, that's one thing.
Feed Aaliyah Boston more, Dawn. What are you thinking?
You gotta run the offense through her. Do you not know what you're doing?
It's one thing if they're physically confronting you. So, like, have you ever heard Frank? Frank brought this up, I think, a year or two ago. He's like, yeah, people say stuff on Twitter, but then, when I'm out and about, everybody's really nice to me. Well, yeah, because on Twitter you can completely change your name. You can do whatever you want. You can say what you want. There's few repercussions. Maybe you get put in Twitter jail for a day or two, but that's all. And that's the thing. Like with Tom coming back and dunking on analysts, that's because those are real names behind it. And at some point, they might have to come down and interview him, and this is his way of taking a shot at him. He's not taking a shot at Patriots fan, 6-time champion, who's like, oh, thank goodness we got rid of Brady. Like, now the organization is going to be better.
We got a couple callers, I believe, on the Love Chevy phone line. Has been waiting very patiently to get in. KC is up first. Hey, KC. Morning. Right, that was Tony saying that the Gamecocks only have one guy NBA talent, and it's not A.J. Lawson. I think he was referring to Keyshawn Bryant, I would assume. Thank you, KC. That was all over the place, huh? Let's talk about Trey Hannibal. He had a really good game on Saturday. Got to give him a bunch of credit. 6 out of 6 from the floor. Scores 15 points. I think that was his career high. I was trying to think of it as he said it. Have we ever seen a guy built like him be an NBA point guard? I can't remember an NBA point guard that big and strong. I was thinking like Ramil Robinson maybe is the only one I can really think of that thick of an NBA point guard. Do you know any, Bill? Like Hannibal is like.
I'm looking one up that instantly came to mind.
He reminds me of Russell Westbrook.
No, he's not as tall.
All over the place. Like he's gonna give you at least one of everything.
Yeah, but Westbrook's more like 2-3 as opposed to a 1.
I feel like you guys. I'm gonna stick with this one, but I feel like you guys are gonna fight me on this. He physically they're similar. That's what I was looking at. The guy that I'm gonna tell you He is a little bit older than me. He's Tim's age. He played at UCLA. He was listed in his NBA career as 6'3", 215. He was a.
Let me guess. Are you going UCLA? My age. That is old school. It's not Aaron.
A little bit younger, year or two younger than you.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna say it, and I'm gonna be mad. Go ahead.
Baron Davis.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that.
6'3", 215. That's about what Hannibal is. He's probably a little over 220. He's listed on ESPN right now, 6'2", 217. I would say there's a few extra biscuits in there. He's at 225 is my guess. But that's kind of what is similar to me. We were talking about Cousinard's statistics this year. Hannibal's 54% from the three-point range, and you mentioned it was very good from there on Saturday with 15 points. You are seeing a progression in his game this year.
But what are the assist and turnover numbers? And this is where the conversation ends, right?
Assist is 1.6, turnover is 2.1.
Right.
So if I'm rounding up if I'm gonna be positive Polly here, 2 assists a game to 2 turnovers a game. Not good for a point guard, but
that is some fuzzy math you just did.
Hey, I'm fudging a tad, but it works.
You've had nothing to lose for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks now. I think you should just start him and bring energy, and maybe he'll get comfortable with the flow of the game with more minutes or starting, and he'll turn it over less. Like there's nothing to lose.
Patrick, to your point, does he listen to what you're asking him to do?
Right.
I don't care if it's Nathan Nelson, Mike Green. I've liked the new kid of Manat. He should still be in high school. They got to get him in a strength and conditioning program. Play the guys who are going. If you draw a play up in the huddle, and those guys, maybe they airball it, but if they execute it, put those guys out there. Trey Hannibal doesn't look like a guy that's telling you he has 4 fouls. He doesn't look like a guy who's getting out of the way of somebody defensively. That's where I can get on board. Keyshawn Bryant is that guy too. I'm kind of with you on that. Play the guy. Even if it's Nathan Nelson and Mike Green and I don't know who else is a walk-on, but that whoever just is going to listen and do what you want is the guys that should be out there for the final 3 games.
Trey throwing out a couple of examples: Darren Williams and Khalid El Amin. I'll give you El Amin just because he was 5'10" and 202. Darren Williams 6'3" and right around 200. It's just not quite as strong, simply as Trey Hannibal.
Trey also said Lance Stevenson. He definitely has some Lance Stevenson-esque plays when he just drives with his head down through 5 people in the middle of the lane and just either throws up a reverse layup or throws it out to nobody.
Now, I was trying to be nice to Travis and not mention his Ed O'Bannon guess with the UCLA reference that Bill was bringing up with Baron Davis. I can't believe I missed that. I got to take a self-imposed suspension here during the break. It's the early game. It's 107.5. I was thinking like Cameron Dollar. You know what I mean? All off.
You want to find out how much sleep matters, how it really affects your life? Go sleep on a blow-up mattress for 2 nights. I had a fun time in Raleigh with my sister, with my family celebrating my dad's birthday, but I got put on a blow-up mattress. I felt awful. I'm 38. I felt like I was 83. I was so ready to come home for my sleep number bed. I put the sleep number setting on 60. I was in bed at like 7:45 last night, just ready to get in bed and crash because I didn't sleep good over the weekend. My back hurt, my shoulders hurt, my neck. It was not I had a great time. Loved my family. Had a blast with them. But the sleeping arrangements, not good, not good. You find out how important sleep is when something like that happens. And with a sleep number bed, you find out just how important a great night of sleep truly is. Again, sleep number setting on 60 last night. I was in bed early, got a great night of sleep, woke up rested, refreshed, ready to go this morning. You can do the same. Discover the sleep number 360 smart bed for proven quality sleep. Don't miss the weekend special deal. It ends today. So it's carried over 1 extra day. Right now, save 50% on a limited edition smart bed plus special financing and free premium delivery when you add a base. Subject to credit approval, minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. Again, this deal ends today. So 2 stores to go choose from. One in Irmo, Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia, 2 Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can always visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. sleep.com. Sleep is so vital to your life, to your happiness. I can guarantee that. Right now, make the switch. Save 50% on a limited edition smart bed plus special financing and free premium delivery when you add a base, but that deal ends today. Make the switch to Sleep Number and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com. I-77 southbound at Bluff Road, shoulder could still be blocked a little bit. Also, Broad River Road at I-20, a report of an accident there. Weather-wise, we're looking for just some light rain off and on today, a high of 64.
By the way, Jay-Z has got to be up there. He was just on CNBC talking about partnering with Moet, whatever it is, the high-end liquor. He's not aging well.
Well, he's not a good-looking man.
But he's not even making an effort at this point, I feel like.
I guess because he's that rich. But, I mean, yeah.
I guess so, but, like.
Him and Beyonce next to each other is, like, constantly used as an example of out of your league.
Yeah. Yeah, like they just had him on, and I mean, clearly he does not wake up before 9 a.m. at any point. I know they've got kids, so they clearly have a nanny that gets up and gets these kids to school or does whatever.
Oh yeah, dude, Top Shot really did blow up this weekend. NBA Top Shot.
You see Oliver Maloney or whatever is the guy who he started tweeting about it.
I mean, the cheapest you could buy $10 cards last week. You can't buy anything for under like 25 right now.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you?
I don't know what happened this. Huh?
How do you sell them? You
sell them on that website. Everything's in the same. I should have bought a card, but I can only. Shoot, let me get back into the marketplace. I was waiting for the packs, and.
Oh, you talking about the Top Shot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear what happened this weekend? Yeah, a bunch of people started tweeting about it this weekend.
My buddy texted me and said, I woke up this morning, my portfolio is worth more than $100,000. Holy crap.
Yeah, the cheapest cards have doubled in price.
Wow. I mean, one radio interview will do it.
Yeah.
In
Columbia,
bummed.
South Carolina, a known NBA hotbed.
I'm so bummed. I hate missing the boat on things like that.
See, what makes me feel better was that one part of talking to Jason. He's like, yeah, there's some issues with getting your money back out. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good.
That's why I don't do a whole lot with Robinhood. That's exactly why I've got a little bit in Robinhood, but I've got the rest through what I would label as more secure ways of getting my money back.
I would have bought a card last week too, but I needed to stay under $28 for the next till the 1st of March.
Total?
I can't spend $28 before March 1st. Yeah.
I remember those days.
That's every month.
I hear you. I think my check was like $385 back in the day.
I sent y'all an email earlier.
Yeah, I saw that. Thanks, man.
All right.
So, Jen, when I see you give us a caller that has an amusing prediction for Frank Martin, I don't think that's necessarily something that we should probably pop on the air.
And we don't have time anyway, so it works out well.
An amusing prediction.
Yeah,
An amusing prediction. I see you see that there's a Twitter handle called Coaching Changes that mentioned New Mexico and Miami.
You see this? This guy that works with OddsShark just put out this tweet. works with OddsShark, the gambling website. If you blindly bet $100 on every NBA underdog money line this season, you'd be up. Oh, he re-added it. $5,133.86. Just betting $100 on NBA underdogs.
Okay, whatever.
Why you don't bet NBA?
Yeah, like 45 seconds. Yeah, bro.
Oh, this is why you should watch the video stream. Jen's head just exploded. That was amazing. Bill, didn't you see it?
No, I was looking at Twitter reading that stat.
NBA underdogs is the way to go, was the stat, I believe.
If you blindly bet $100 on every NBA underdog this year, you'd be up a little over $5,000. 5,100.
Okay, we're good. We're going to suspend you for the next 21 hours until we're back. Also, Anonymous Raj is suspended from the show. Said Fernando Tatis's 2 grand slams in 1 inning came from each side of the plate, and then he had to retweet the retraction. Retext us.
Bye.
It's Monday.
It's not a guy who gets the show. You stick with your bad facts. That's what I do. I fudge a little.
Dan Patrick shows next. Real facts.
Clear.
My dad thought that was the funniest thing that we've had on the show in 4 years. All weekend, he was walking around. He'd be like, "Oh, looks like it's 90 degrees out there." And my brother-in-law would be like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, it's probably 30. I was fudging just a little."
Good call, Raphael. You just stole the show, Jen. Congratulations.
I didn't make that face. I didn't see it. I have to go back and get a replay on the.
No. I've perhaps been spoken to about my expressions rolling of the eyes, and that probably just happened yet. So.
It's the best part of the video stream.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in, by the way. Yeah. We'll sign off right here and do it again tomorrow. That was fun.
Oh,
wave, everybody. No? So rude. Oh, rude. Oh, you tipping your hat? I think Patrick gave a wave.
No, stretch. I was looking. I felt bad real quick. That guy who called in and said that he felt bad for Cam Newton or whatever he said. And I was like, how do you feel about what is Cam Newton's career earnings? Y'all want to guess what Cam Newton's career earnings after this year were?
It'll make me sick.
Is it 200? Not quite?
No, it's below 200.
170?
It's actually, okay, so clearly it's well below what you thought. It's over 100. One more guess?
These numbers don't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
So what is that?
128 million.
9 figures. Yeah, he's doing all right.
I'm thinking you feel bad for him, like you have a pit. What do you say? You had a hole in his stomach or something. He's like, "Oh, my stomach hurts." I'm like, I don't think that's it.
Well, he said like you're like a son, so I think he just feels bad seeing Cam doing things that he doesn't need to be doing.
I think that was
can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't think he feels bad about his bank account.
Right, it's a different feeling than you got, Bill, when Patrick talked about $28 for the rest of the month.
It's true. Yeah. A little different there.
So
all right. Now
mac and cheese and hot dogs today.
We'll start the GoFundMe for Patrick tomorrow.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.